Hello, Millwall fans. Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Hello, Millwall fans, and welcome to the Transfer Deadline Day special. All of the activity that we've got to... Oh, wait. Anyway, I'm only kidding. It's going to be a fun evening, I'm sure. We're going to be with you for at least 2 hours, and joining me this evening to go through what is going to be a very, very fun evening, I am sure. Let's start with a person to my... I always get this... No, I got it right. It is the one and only Mr. Stato, Stephen. Stephen, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm really good, really excited. We've got so many transfers to talk about. It's going to be great. Really, really great.
Such a piss taker. We have faith. Have faith. And then below him, just in this, not in any other kind of way, or at least I don't think so, is with a lovely mural in the background is Mr. Phil Clark. Phil, how you doing, mate?
I'm very well. You?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm all right.
You're looking good. You're looking good.
Mate, come
Get
on.
that Tanganga shirt down behind you. Time to replace
I know.
that.
Well, the only other one I've got, which is recent, is Watmore, and they're both not here. So I made a habit of sponsoring players that no longer want to be here. But anyway, enough said about that. And then finally joining us for now, we've got all sorts of guests coming in and out to try and keep everyone occupied, is the one and only Mr. Football Manager himself, Mr. Ben Green. How you doing, Ben?
I'm all right, mate. My head is just about off Mars after the weekend, so finally calmed down. But yeah, no, I'm good. How are we all, chaps?
Well, I think a lot of that will be predicated on what happens in the next couple of hours. So I'm going to go through some comments in the chat, but I'm going to ask you a very simple comment, ladies and gents, in the chat. How many players, just put it in the chat, in the comments, how many players do you think we're going to sign this evening? Put it in the chat. We've got 2 hours left to go. Evening, fellas. Carl, evening, mate. Nice to see you. The legend that is Jeff Chandler. Happy birthday for Friday, Jeff. Afternoon. Any of us available to play at Charlton? I'm certainly not, but I've heard that Stephen's a bit of a dab hand at the back, and I've heard Joe's quite good up front, but making no more. Gary, good evening to you. John, mate, thank you so much. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, John, for the continued support. We really, really do appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much. Tommy, good evening, mate. Andrew, the stylish Jeff Cook. I tell you, Disco's got the moves, but Jeff's got the clobber. I said that to him on Saturday. Stylish geezer is Mr. Jeff Cook. Leslie, good evening. Lewis, yeah, all right, mate. Yeah. Mbappe is, I've heard he's en route. Yep. Leslie, ED Gamers, how you doing, mate? Alex S, good evening. Ozcan, indeed. Squeaky Bum Time. Lions Roar, good evening. Bender Beaver, good evening. Born Free, Die Free, good evening. Just praying we don't sell the BFS. I'm going to go on a whim and say he stays. Monica, hello, Mrs. Mummy Stato. How are you doing? Tony Butcher, long 2 hours coming up. Let's hope so. Evening, Mr. Mike Parker. Paul, where are all the signings? Where are you at, mate? More importantly, that's probably the bigger question. Where are you? Mark, good evening. Joey, not a person to be claimed, but I've heard from a very reliable source. You were after I played George Dobson. Well, I would take him all day long because I thought he was very good on Saturday. Obviously, former Charlton lad. Are the rumours true that Joey's having a medical at Lions TV? Well, Alex, you're partially right. He fouled it because obviously he's not particularly in shape. Mark, good evening. And now we're getting into, just quickly go through these. 1, 2, 3. Well, that was quite interesting. 0, 3. Some optimism there. 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 if we're dreaming. 1, 3. So it looks like we've got a mixer between 1 and 3. Chaps, coming to you first. Ben, how many players are we going to sign?
I'm going to be optimistic, mate, and say 3. Realistic, 2.
Okay.
So 2.5.
Head and heart there, Ben. I think that's the way.
Yeah.
Phil,
I'm hoping for 2. Probably 1. I'm
Hoping for 2. Oh, that's a low bar, Phil. It's a low bar.
Well, we've already signed quite a few, to be honest.
How many we signed now? Is it 7?
7 at the moment. 3 of them are keepers, though.
That is the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. Stat padding.
But yeah, I mean 7. That's a big number.
Well, 3 keepers, like you said. So yes,
You go back to last summer, though. Oh, sorry, end of last season. People were like, "Oh, we probably only need 3 or 4. We just finished outside the playoffs. 3 or 4 good players. That's probably enough." We signed 7, and people are probably thinking we still need another 5. Where'd you stop?
yes. Where do you stop? And I think it's sometimes we're going to get into this, but sometimes it's quality and quantity, and not always different metrics, right? And I think that's probably something that we can absolutely talk about. I believe since last summer we've now signed 25 players, which is a lot. And then finally, Stephen, how many do you think we're going to sign?
Wishful thinking 3. I think if we don't sign 3, there's problems personally, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll give my perspective. I think we will sign 2, but possibly like a last-minute loan from the Premier League that all of a sudden becomes available in the last 10 minutes. I think we'll sign a centre forward or a winger, probably someone that we're all fairly aware that has been rumoured to us. I think we have to sign a central midfielder. Whether we get the one we want or not, I don't know. I don't know who that is. Obviously, Dobson's just been mentioned there. Alan Brown's been previously mentioned. And obviously, Dan Barlaser, who's got mixed reviews, has been mentioned. Middlesbrough fans are laughing at us, supposedly. And then possibly some kind of young Premier League player. I think that's all really we can hope for. But look, let's talk about, I guess, the elephant in the room. So Yousef Arabi was obviously due to sign for us, but it appears now he's en route to Genk. Chaps, talk to me about him, and I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes. I'll be back. You know why. Stephen, carry the flow, my friend. I'll be back.
So in deputising for Mr. Chapman, Ben, I'll come to you first. It was widely reported that Mr. Arabi was signing. The medical was all booked. It was all good to go. Everyone got excited. We had a shiny new striker that we were all looking forward to seeing. And then a spanner in the works. Genk went and sold their £25 million striker, and it looks like he's going there. Is it purely a case of more money was offered, do you think?
That's going to play a part in it, isn't it, mate? I don't know for fact, but Genk are normally in and around European football as well, so there's going to be an opportunity there. Listen, we never know the full reasons, but I would imagine they would be paying substantially more than us if they are still in Europe. So, yeah, a little bit disappointed. It was one of those ones, though. I didn't know enough about him to kind of get excited, apart from the fact he was a new centre forward we were going to potentially be wheeling out for a rather healthy sum of money, right? So, yeah, it's always annoying and frustrating to lose out in the manner that we have when you think you're pretty much done with it, or medical's booked and that sort of thing. But yeah, money's gonna have to play a part, right? But you don't know family situation as well. Maybe just fancied mainland Europe, mate.
Phil, obviously quite widely reported, as Chris said, that a specific certain Austrian winger is potentially arriving in SE16. Do we think that deal was resurrected or going on in the background alongside Arabi, or do you think that is perhaps
is this the Tieno Balo?
Yes. Do we think that's
a resurrection? I should think.
I think the problem is it screams that it is. It screams that we've kind of gone, right, we've lost out on this target. What can we do? Who do we have bubbling along, should we say, quite nicely? Is Balo, Phil, I'll come back to you. Is Balo the answer to perhaps our attacking problems? Would you expect maybe that we're still looking for another forward?
It's a difficult one. I think by the sound of it, he sounds like quite a different player to Arabi, and he apparently he can play on the wing or as a striker, but he's he's pretty quick and likes to dribble with the ball, so he's a little bit different to a couple of the others that we have. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I mean, obviously we need players that are ready to play right now, but we also need players that are quite versatile, because we've just got injuries across different parts of the pitch, so you never know where you're actually going to need somebody to fill in. And obviously a slightly different option up front. You know, if the two big men aren't working, then you need something different to go with. I think on Arabi, in terms of, I think Dan Marsh reported that he was over for, he was travelling for a medical or something last week, was the article, I think, to remember. Obviously, we don't know what's happened there, if he did come for a medical or not. What I would say is that, I did a little bit digging around, and, we'd been looking at him for about 3 years. And, we'd put bids in, but, they just fell short of valuations. They wanted big money for him 2 or 3 years ago. I think under Gary Rowett, we were quite close to getting him. So he's obviously been a long-term target. So if we haven't got him, you'd assume that, somebody's just come along and maybe paid more money, I guess.
And Chris obviously rejoining the conversation, talking about Balo and Arabi being slightly different players. If we're led to believe that Mr. Nisbet is out of the door and our attacking reinforcements is Tierno Balo, would you expect us to be looking for another striker, or is Balo the attacking option? As Phil mentioned, that he's quite versatile, can play in a number of positions. Is that enough if we lose Nisbet, or would we need another?
I'd like another, but I don't think we'll get one. I think, but I also think it's probably predicated on how bad Macaulay Langstaff and Femi Aziz's injuries are, to probably answer that question. Because I think if you're going to play 2, you need at least 4, right? So that obviously includes Langstaff and Balo. Balo, the Bermondsey baller. I love that. But yes, so I don't know. I think one of you were just talking about it. I wish I could tell you that I was on the phone to agents finding out stuff. I'm not. I'm trying to do life admin at the same time. But I think the interesting fact is they're both incredibly different types of strikers or players. One is seems to be sort of a winger or a very pacey on the last man type finisher. Or a dribbler in Balo, and then Arabi. I actually did a video on Hammarby with a Hammarby fan on Arabi, and he just talked a lot about how physical he is. Very a real target man, a real kind of aerial presence, and obviously you've seen him. He looked like the Hulk, didn't he? So very, very different strikers. One can only assume that we were never going to sign both. But I could be wrong. I just can't see us spending €5 million on Arabi and then committing to possibly spending another 5 million on Balo. But I could be wrong. What do you think, gents?
For what it's worth, I think that the two lads got it quite spot on. I think we were looking at Arabi. We put all the eggs in that basket. He was the one that they wanted. That fell through. And Balo was one that was perhaps on the radar, sort of, that we'd kept bubbling along, sort of thing. And he then took over the mantra as the new attacking option that was then available. That's how I see it anyway. I think Phil said the same thing, and Ben as well. So I think it's hard to disagree with that personally.
So go on, but I was going to say, should we talk a little bit, whilst we haven't got a sign-in to actually discuss, should we talk, first of all, talk about Adam Mayer, who's gone out the door today. I guess I'm 50-50 on this one. I'm delighted he's gone with Neil Harris. I think as someone that will know what it takes to be a Millwall player, and therefore, a good player for him to progress under. But at the same time, I'm equally disappointed it's a League Two loan, if I'm being really candid. So what are your thoughts on Adam Mayer going out the door?
I think similar to you, mate. Someone that I rate highly. I'm being quite excited and quite vocal about my sort of admiration for him, not based on obviously what he's done with us, but I think there's a player in there. My take on Adam Mayer is I think he's destined to be a left back. I think if he's going to be playing in the Championship or at that sort of level, I think he's definitely going to be a left back. I just don't see him being a forward player. So it'd be interesting. I spoke to a mate of mine who's a Cambridge fan earlier. He asked me about him. I said exactly that. He seems to think they're fairly well stocked at left back, so he'll be playing fairly forward. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, mate, I like Adam Mayotte. I'm pleased he's gone with Neil Harris. As you said, Chris, he's going to, well, I'm assuming he already knows, but he's definitely going to get it from Neil Harris as to what's going to be expected on his return back to the club. But yeah, just interesting that the club don't see a part for him in around the squad. So yeah, that'd be my only disappointment. But yeah, I'm happy he's going to get some game time to say I do like him.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well with Adam Mayer, he's probably like that left wing back role that we just don't play, right? Like, you know, in a 5. So I think that's another thing as well for his development. By the way, it does appear that a couple of players that I would have liked to have seen us look at, of course, was Alan Brown. He's going to Middlesbrough. And Patrick Roberts of Sunderland is going to Birmingham. So a couple of good sign-ins for them. And this is a thing, you know, I totally appreciate that Alan Brown is probably not fit. And what we need is someone that can come into the team right now, especially for the Charlton game. But I like experienced Championship players, right? And combining those with the plethora of young talent that we've got at the minute. And these are the sorts of guys that I'd be looking at. Phil, you know, what's your take on what we probably need right now with Charlton around the corner, certainly in the middle of the park?
I think in terms of the Charlton game specifically, my worry is that we know what Nathan Jones is like. He's going to have them absolutely wound up, desperate to break the jinx that we have over them. And the one thing everyone I know who's seen them, and a good friend of mine watched them on Saturday, and he said, quality low, effort and energy off the scale. They are going to be in our faces. They're going to be all over us. And I suppose I'm just a little bit concerned that the games that I've seen, like particularly at home, we just haven't really got those battlers, the players with the big hearts. You know, I'm not going to hark back to some of my favourite players that have left recently, but yeah, I
wonder who that's, Phil.
Yeah, you know, I think Massimo can do it. I just don't think he can do it for 90 minutes. And his mobility is not awesome. He's not super athletic. So I think we'll really miss Casper and Billy, assuming they're still out. So I think we need a centre midfielder who's got some proper legs on him, who can really get around the pitch and is prepared to put themselves into players and make tackles and challenges. So yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. I think on Alan Brown, it's a shame because obviously there was an obvious link there with Alex Neil, but he's another one of those players. I don't think he's ever come south, you know, and I don't think he was ever going to come south either, unless I suspect the only way something like that happens is if you're prepared to pay him 3, 4, 5 grand a week more just for the privilege of coming and living in London. And, you know, that's just not a logical thing for us to do as a club.
And Stephen, just linking that to the comment on screen here from Bailey about Alan Brown being a blocker to progression. So obviously he says here we've got Mitchell, Dinor, Luongo, Kundal, all senior options with Kelly. And now good old Derek. I just best name. What's your view on that?
I think we were talking about this in our chat earlier, and I think as much as people might not want to accept it, that had Billy Mitchell and Casper Dinor have not been injured, they would have played all 4 of the league games. They would have been the first choice, and you would have seen Luongo come on if we're ahead, i.e. at Sheffield United, or maybe I don't know, perhaps Luke Kundal coming on if we're behind in a game. That they would have been the kind of changes you would have seen. The fact that we've lost our first choice centre mids within 4 weeks of the season is incredibly unlucky. And sometimes you just have to fill a gap. Okay, it doesn't fit the model, and I know that that's something that comments like that are going to perhaps not bite Millwall and the board, but if they then go and sign someone for experience, people are going to say, well, this isn't what you said. This isn't the model. This isn't the young, player that we can sell for profit. But we found ourselves in a position where we are desperately unlucky with injuries. And we need, I think you said at the top of the show, Chris, we need someone ready-made to play in that midfield. It's not just Charlton. The game after that is Palace. I know it's a cup game, but we're not going to want to go there and look silly. We're not going to go there and compete. You've then got Watford the week after. Okay, they're not your typical London derby, but it's 3 big games in the space of it'd be 9 days, and we're going to be rolling out potentially youngsters that don't have that much experience at this level of football in games where the opposition are going to be right on them and right in their faces. Alan Brown, for me, if we could someone like that would have been perfect. And again, I know Phil and I share perhaps a love for an old player that's not there anymore. Maybe differences of opinions on whether they should be or not. But you're looking at it now and you'd go, "Oh, I wish we had George Saville in that lineup for Charlton." But they made that decision, and now we have to live with it. So I think Bailey's right in one aspect, but in the other, you can't just keep throwing in. We can't throw in Derek, his first game, Derby at Charlton. Or, do you know what I mean? It's just that's not logical to me. It's really not.
It's not Cundall's game either. I really don't
No,
think that. You
no.
know, but I think Ben de Beaver's point here around Ben Sheaf, this is unprecedented times in the Championship. You've got players like Ben, who I really rate, by the way. I think he's an excellent player. He's a local lad. He's from Dartford. Nick Callahan, a friend of the show, him and I were discussing him yesterday. But £6.5 million for a 27-year-old that's injured quite a bit. It just shows you, right, where the money's at, yeah? I mean, what are your thoughts on what are some players that fit the mold that we're describing, right? So, ready-made, experienced Championship that could be available that you would have gone after other than Alan Brown?
That's a difficult question to answer that, mate, because I was just about to say, I think you're describing Alan Brown, right? He was someone that we spoke about on the live last week. He just, for me, ticked every box. I mean, like you said as well, it doesn't help. It's always, there's going to be a magnifying glass on what we're doing or not doing when clubs like Wrexham are spending £6.5 million on a ready-made central midfielder. But like you say, Chris, it's just it's an anomaly season, right? It's not. I can't see things like this. It doesn't happen all the time. It hasn't happened before, really. Certainly, the level of spending in terms of the League One clubs coming up. So I'm sure you'd be looking at those sorts of players like Ben Sheaf, right? And then as soon as you get a price tag slapped on them at £6.5 million, you're just going, well, we're not going to do that. So it's a fine balance to try and strike. And I know, again, we spoke about it in the chat today, didn't we, all of us, that at the moment we're not finding that balance, it would seem.
This is an interesting name, Josh Laurent. I mean, I know he was at Reading for a long time, wasn't he? And then Stoke, and he was, really, really good player. But I would imagine, again, given the promotion to the Premier League, the wages then become a point where it's probably just not feasible for us. What's your thoughts, Phil?
I would like to still gone for that Lewis O'Brien that played against us for Wrexham. It's too late now, and I don't know what B went for, but the frustrating thing about Honeyman and Saville is not that we let them go, or sorry, they were out of contract, so they could walk anyway. It's not so much that they went; it's the fact that knowing that they probably were going to go, we weren't already lined up with quality to come in, and we're kind of, I don't know when the transfer window opened, but it must be 8 weeks ago or something. I don't know. Christ, might be longer. And we're still here with an hour and 34 minutes scrabbling around trying to find a centre midfielder of a calibre that's capable of playing 90 minutes most weeks. And that's what people forget. Ultimately, Saville played 49 games last season. That's what you're replacing. You're not replacing him with someone like Luongo, who's really joined to come on for 20, 30 minutes at the end of games and so forth. We're looking for somebody who can play 30 games this season, 90 minutes. So yeah, I would have liked that O'Brien given a choice. But in terms of who's out there now, it's impossible to know, isn't it? And I mean, that's the problem for the club, is that they're scrabbling around, putting feelers out, talk to agents. But, you might just find in the last 45 minutes of the window, somebody that you didn't think was going to be available. Suddenly, you remember Kiefer Moore was very close the other year. Somebody you just don't expect suddenly comes up on the radar. And we may be all, absolutely delighted with, who walks through, well, hopefully who walks through the door. I suspect. I can't see now it'll be a purchase. I think it'll be a loan.
Just on that last minute thing, Chris, I just jump in a question to everyone. I mean, we saw the potential fee for Arabi, right? Do we think the club are willing to pay that for someone that isn't Arabi, or do you think, like what you said, Phil, it has to be someone that we've targeted for quite a while for us to pay that sort of money?
I can't see us wedging out nearly £4.5 million at spare of the moment on someone that's just come on or that's just come available personally. I don't think we'd go that route. I think we would go the loan route. That to me is the obvious at this point of the window, unless there's someone that's, unbelievably good that for whatever reason becomes available. And this is obviously not going to happen. Josh Sargent becomes available for a stupid price. We're obviously going to pay the money for him. He's ready to go. That's not going to happen. So I can't see us paying, big money like that.
But then so does every other club, Stephen, right? If he becomes available, then there becomes a free-for-all, right? It's what Sam says here in the chat. Whoever gets Benson, if he's available, that is a top championship player ready to go. Just like if Rom goes out on loan, right?
His Benson's agents probably had more phone calls than you've had in the last 2 minutes, Chris. So waiting for people to snap him up, and that's just how it goes. I just before we carry this conversation on, there was a comment earlier on. It's probably way back now. I think Hassan asked me the last time we scored from a long throw. I believe it was QPR February 2023. Someone might be able to fact check me on that, but I believe it was Ollie Burke at the end that us supporters sit the away end at QPR. If someone wants to fact check me, they can, but I think that's the right answer. But I didn't want to not answer it for him. So
impressive, Stato. That is why you have got that nickname, my friend. That is why you've got the nickname.
If we could sign anybody, any midfielder, I didn't quite get to come in on that bit. The one name I would love right now, ready-made, is Jason Mulumby, but I think he's played every game for West Brom, and I just don't think it's going to happen. That would be the sort of player.
Agreed. A few people have said that in the chat. I think he's exactly what we need. I think he's exactly what we've needed he is the perfect Sav replacement. There are not many players that have that shithousery left, right? That are playing at the type of level we're at. But unfortunately, I could be wrong, but I think that ship has sailed. Let me ask you another question then. Phil, coming to you first, mate. What do you think needs to happen in the next hour and a half for you to walk away thinking that this window was a success? You're on mute. Nothing. It's a success.
Sorry, yeah, exactly that. Apologies, yeah. I just don't think what I think we need to happen is going to happen. That's the problem. I think we probably, and to be fair to the club, it's mainly because of the injuries. So I think the things that you've got to think about is I think in some respects we've had a lot of luck. The Jaffet situation in many ways was very fortunate that we picked him up on loan because he liked us and it worked out. We ended up finding a way to make him permanent, and by the sound of it, we've made a considerable sum of money. SA, however that came about, Harris, whether he was asked to play him or whether he chose to play him, 6 months of playing SA's earned us 14 million quid. I'd call that relatively lucky because he probably wasn't quite ready. But the flip side of that is, very sadly, obviously, we lost Mati Sarkic, and that's sort of a chain of events that then, led to Lucas Jensen and Liam Roberts, and then obviously injuries and so forth, to the point today where we're signing 3 keepers in a window. So, I think, what do we need? I think we need a right back, not because I don't want Kramer to play there, because I'm actually really happy with him playing there, but I think we need somebody who can play that role when he's not available, or if he does have to step inside, or even if at some stage we choose to go to 3 at the back, which is not impossible. So I think we need that. We need a centre midfielder, we need a pacey striker, and we need a winger. That's a lot of things that we need, and they're not happening in the next hour and 28 minutes.
Concur. Agreed. Ben, in order for you to walk away feeling that this window was a success, what's... Because I think the other thing as well is, I'm trying to put my devil's advocate hat on here. I think that whilst as fans, we will rate the window and isolate this window, right? Whereas the club may think about the fact that, okay, well, we're not going to sign a right back now, but that's the priority for January or next summer or whatever. I'm trying to be devil's advocate here and sort of look at the balance here. But, what's your take on what we need?
Whilst I don't disagree with anything, Phil just sounds a slightly different angle, just for a here and now. What would I be happy with today to finish? We spoke about it again in the group chat earlier. A right back for me is an absolute must, and that was apparent. Certainly Saturday, I think we're desperate for a central midfielder, and I think we're desperate for a centre forward. So they would be my three on the shopping list. If I take out the sort of here and now in terms of our injury situation, I would say a centre midfielder maybe less so, but certainly a centre forward and a right back would still be we absolutely need them. The big thing here is someone made the comment earlier and mentioned Mr. Fairbrother's interview, and we're always going to be looking back and saying, and looking at his comments and making that comparison, right, for this window. He specifically called out this window and being in a better place. Do I think we are at the moment with what we've done? Not sure.
Well, just to build on that, it looks like Kevin Nisbet is going to Aberdeen. Daily Record, who usually a fairly reliable source, have stated that we have agreed a 6-figure deal for him to move permanently to Aberdeen. Obviously, don't know if that's true or not, but that's literally just come out in the last 60 seconds. If he does go, we kind of talked about this earlier, but Ben, like if he does go, are you happy with an assumption that this Balo signs, who's a hybrid winger striker? Are you happy with that, with Langstaff as a 4, or do you want more?
Balo brings a lot of potential. There's obviously going to be that option, we believe, right, of a purchase at the end of the loan. There's no obligation from what we understand or what's been reported so far. So that's an interesting one. It's going to be a try before you buy. It's certainly an upgrade on this bit. I was happy to wipe my hands with him pretty early on, to be perfectly honest. I don't doubt his finishing capabilities, but I certainly doubt all the other parts of his play and probably his head and off the field antics, to be perfectly honest. Not suggesting that anything's going on, but he clearly doesn't want to be down there, is my take. He messed around the first time, didn't he? And I just feel like it's been a hugely underwhelming signing, this bit. So do I think Balo's going to be an upgrade? Yes. Is it enough again? I just think now, are we almost certainly going to be going in a change of formation? Are we going to be going back to a 4-2-3-1 type thing?
Possibly, but then we need attacking options behind them. At the minute, we've only got one fit winger, so this is the challenge. An interesting point here from Bailey. Surprised AJ Matthews didn't get a loan. So I want to ask now, Stephen. There's a lot of young talent. I think we can all clearly align on that, and maybe some of it. Maybe there were moves for these that have unfortunately been hampered by our own injuries and us having to have them around the squad when ideally they'd have gone out on loan. But I think, when we look at the likes of AJ, possibly Dan Kelly, I personally think a League One move for Kamal Grant would have been sensible. I know obviously he's been kept around the first team. Obviously George Evans. There's quite a few, right? Lamptey, I believe he's injured though. Like, what's your point of view on a lot of the younger lads who maybe played against Coventry going out on loan?
So to tie it in with the other question about how good our window's been, again, it's an if, and it's not happened. If we didn't have the injuries and we'd brought in the players that we have to this point, our squad would be looking quite good. Let's be honest. Okay, maybe a little bit lopsided to the left with perhaps maybe another right back being needed still, but I think we'd have all been relatively happy. If the injuries are causing us a problem, and to then move on to the youngsters, I'm amazed that George Evans hasn't gone yet. The fact that we've signed another goalkeeper, so we've now got 3 goalkeepers on the books and Jensen. I'm amazed that nothing has come out about Evans, or not that I've seen anyway. And again, the youngsters did well against Coventry. We all can see that. We all know that. We all were there or watched the game or whatever. But are they ready to mount a championship campaign? I guess you won't know until you give them an opportunity. But certainly when Coventry obviously changed it up and brought on their first team, we were under the cosh, and obviously so. You can't. It's not slagging them off. It's not criticising them. They were playing against players that play week in, week out at a competitive level. So I certainly think that our injuries have hampered what kind of loans that we've been able to do. And I don't know if am I right in saying, Ben, Phil, that whilst it's not ideal, but non-league they can still loan play, or they can still take players outside
still
of
go to
the
National League, I think. Yeah.
yeah. They can still go out on loan, which again isn't ideal. I don't think it's ideal for Alfie Massey, but it's a way of getting them some kind of football if we don't get them out of the door today. But I just think, and both of you have said it, I think the injuries have damaged us massively over the last couple of weeks. I think we probably were relatively happy, and now all the plans have gone up in smoke. The fans are expecting signings, and we're expecting signings. We're hoping, we've all said ourselves that, are we going to be happy with the end of the transfer window if we don't really get in players that we've said? Probably not, but it's not because of the activity that we've done. It's by the injuries and going in now very light for at least 4 months. Ben, I'll come to you in Chris's absence. A comment that's come through. I can't bring them up on the screen, guys. Chris has got the access to do that, but I will go through some of them as and when I can. Have any of you heard what's up with Zach Lovelace? Was supposedly a week or two away from fitness over a month ago. Bit of a strange turnout. Ben, what's going on with him? What do you think it is?
What do I think it is? An attitude problem, maybe. I don't know. Again, there were reports north of the border that he wasn't great off the pitch. Again, don't know how true or false those reports were. But in terms of the injury, if he has got injured, then he's got injured, right? Again, but is he another one that we would want to be pinning our hat on, having no real first team experience? Is he someone that we should be looking at anyway and saying, yeah, he's going to be coming in and, as I say, and making a huge difference? Has he got potential yet? So a lot of the players that we've signed, but we're talking about players that we want to see come in now and affect the first team. Is Zach Lovelace that answer? I don't know.
And Phil, obviously, again, youngsters, Zach Lovelace, AJ Matthews, if Kevin Nisbet goes out the door, Macaulay Langstaff would then obviously be the understudy to, I would assume, Coburn and Ivanovic longer term. He would be the next one down, if you will. Are you confident that perhaps that AJ Matthews and if he's around, Zach Lovelace could do a job if required, or is that too much to ask?
In terms of Lovelace, I think there might have been some problems last season with a couple of players, which obviously might have resulted in us not seeing them. But I don't think they would have been near the first team anyway. I think he has had an injury, and I think he's probably just weeks away from coming back. But because he's had consistent injuries at Rangers, I don't think they're in any particular desire to rush him back. And that's one of the problems that we often have as a club, is that we do rush people back really quickly. There was a very good argument for Joe Bryan starting on Saturday, but having been out injured and having an injury history, it just wouldn't have made sense to thrown him straight in. That's effectively what we did with Alfie Doughty, and we paid the price for that. So in terms, I think the problem is that you've got the two big lads who obviously haven't scored in the season apart from pre-season, and whilst they're not quite similar, they are just both big lads, not hugely athletic, super pacey. So to defend against them, they are quite similar. And we do need a different option. Now, that could be Langstaff. The way he took that goal from Doughty in that game and the pre-season one, was exceptional. But having watched him all last season, I'm not sort of sitting here thinking, yeah, absolutely, he's nailed on the guy that we need. In terms of AJ Matthews, thought he was really good when he came on against Coventry. He was really up for it. He was hungry, he was physical, didn't stop running. But he's a young lad who I've seen, whatever it is, 30 minutes of. What it comes down to, I think, in the end, Stephen, is, are we aiming for a top 6 finish, or are we looking for a kind of hopefully top 6, but we're quite happy with kind of 7 to 10? Because if you're hoping for top 6, then it's probably not them as your backup strikers. You need proven quality. I think Chris made the point, and a couple of other people made the point to me on maybe X and other places. If we'd have had Keeper Moore up front against Wrexham, we would have won that game. Firstly, because they wouldn't have had him. But second, if there were 2 Keeper Moores and we had one and they had one, and we both played them, I think we win that game. You know, it's not criticism of the lads that were up there, but they're just young, inexperienced, and on the day they didn't have a good day. But then next weekend they probably, or you know, a couple of weeks time, that they will have a good day. That's what you're going to get. Zach Sturge has had some really good games, looked a little bit average on Saturday. You're just going to get uneven performances with a lot of young players. So we have to accept that, and maybe that's why we aren't aiming for top 6 this year. Maybe this is all about giving them games, getting them ready, and then next season's the one where we go.
Chris, can I just jump in? Because I saw your face when Phil mentioned that we might not be ready for the top 6 and a 7th to 10th spot. You're shaking your head still now. For the benefit of anyone watching this or listening to this on Spotify, that's why I'm doing that. But so we bed in these youngsters. We finish. I know look, we're only 4 games in. We don't know what's going to happen. We finish 8th again, for argument's sake. Are you happy with that as progress, and that we can say, well, we've got these players in now and they'll be ready next year?
I think you're just looking to make progress, right? That's, to me, that is what defines success, and it's about making progress. Would finishing 8th this season define progress? I don't think it would, really. But having said that, in context of what is a very difficult championship this season, I think it's even more squeezed than ever, because I don't think the teams that came down are as strong as the ones that went up, but the ones that came up are stronger than the ones that went down, and you kind of got all this merry-go-round. But I just want us to, in my opinion, strike a better balance between these projects that we're signing for the future, that may or may not come off, by the way, and the here and now. And I think if we had just have struck a slightly better balance there is no reason why the top 6 was beyond us, because I think we have a very good core of players. And, you know, my opinion is Alex Neil is a top 6 championship manager, in my opinion. Happy to be proved otherwise, but I genuinely think he is.
I think that whilst you've put that very diplomatically, I think that there'll be a lot of supporters that possibly don't share the same looking at both sides of the coin, if you will. Personally, I think there'll be a lot of people that this was the year. There was, you know, Alex Neil, I think, said at the forum and in pre-season that the target was to get this side promoted. He might not have specifically have said right this season, but how else are you going to take that? You're going to take it that we're going to push for it this year. So I think that we are very much in a position, and also I think it's going to be reflective of the crowds. All of us were there on Saturday, again, full house, and a lot of people were leaving. I'm not going to out someone, but someone was in the pub very, very early on Saturday afternoon. He is on this. He is in this on these 4 windows. Make of that what you will. And there'll be lots of other people that follow suit that will be very, very disappointed with how it's gone at the moment and where we are as a club. So I think the next, hour and 14 minutes are going to be very, very defining for what kind of reaction the club are going to get, and what are they going to get a backlash, or are they going to get pleasantly surprised comments? And I think that's going to be a bit of a concern, personally.
Good one. Should we talk about that? Because you know, some of the stuff I've seen online, there's a lot of criticism of Mark Fairbrother about the video. I just wondered what people's thoughts are on that. I mean, I know Mark really well. Yeah, met him lots of times, had lots of conversations with him through the Lions Trust and various other stuff. Very nice bloke, very capable, looks to be doing a great job. Just wonder what people's thoughts are on the interview.
I'll go. I think it's a really, really good thing to put out at the time that it was put out, because it's got everyone absolutely buzzing. It's probably got a few people to buy season tickets or memberships, and everyone's getting really, really excited. But as I said, with now an hour and 13 minutes to go, it's looking incredibly foolish, because Millwall supporters notoriously, and we're all the same, we don't forget players, we don't forget referees, linesmen, supporters, we don't forget anything. And that video it will come back to haunt him if something doesn't happen over the next hour or so. It's great to be ambitious. It's great to put a positive message out there, but you just look really silly if you don't follow through on some of the things that's been said, and that's just how it's looking for me.
Can I just jump in, gents? We have a special guest, the Viking himself, the Danish correspondent, who's going to, I'm sure, change the complexion and the luck, and the signings are going to start to follow, is going to join us. Here he is, the one and only Mr. Jesper. Welcome to the show, Jesper.
How are you doing, gents? Can you hear me? All
We
good?
can.
Yeah.
Good.
Stunned silence,
good.
mate. That's what that was.
Yeah.
I was trying to think you were wheeling out a new signing with you, Jeff.
Yeah,
That's what I
no,
was
sorry,
hoping.
no. I've actually just checked again to see if there was any news from around some different sources, but no, I haven't heard anything. So, I'm playing a bit catch up, so I don't know what you guys have talked about. So I'll just leave it to you, Chris, and then I'll jump in when needed.
Well, Jesper, how many signings are we going to make? That's the first question I asked these boys.
Well, I think one is in the making, isn't it? It's been quite clear today that we have a certain Austrian in London for medical. I think that should be the first one. And then honestly, I don't know. I think this is kept. It was like the last window, wasn't it, when we signed 3 at midnight? So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think it will be around 3, but I have no idea which positions in which it will be. And now I can see Nisbet has left, so obviously that leaves you to think that we will bring in some sort of reinforcements up front. Whether we will do it in central midfield, I'm not so sure. We can talk about whether this young kid from France is the solution now. Maybe he's not, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't bring in another central midfielder. And Phil, you said it as well. I mean, if Dan Balo is the solution, are we better off with what we already have? I mean, that's also one of the questions, right? So, but to answer your question, Chris, I think it will be around 3.
I love the optimism. I really do. I really love the optimism. I want to talk about this for a second here. Simon put this in the chat earlier. So if we don't get the players in, wonder how that affects Neil's relationship with the club. So obviously he's referring to Alex Neil here. Like, what do we think about? How do we think Alex Neil is feeling right now? Because obviously he has to pick the team, coach the team, put the players. He can only use what he's got. You know, would love to get your boys' perspective on how you think Alex is finding the current situation.
I'll jump in on that one, mate. I'd imagine he's incredibly frustrated, like everyone is. I would imagine that. Yeah, I was going to say he's tearing his hair out, but he hasn't got any, is he? So, yeah, he's going to be pretty annoyed. If you look at the players that we have brought in let me take a step back. First of all, you don't know what the view has been of this season. It could be, like Phil mentioned earlier, that the ambitions are to stabilise a bit more this year, and maybe top 10's a good thing and it's going to be have a go next year. We don't know, right? If we think like we probably all anticipated it to be, that we're having a go for the top 6, how many players have the club brought in that have really come in to affect the team now? Coben's been brought back from loan, 1. Av Doughty, 2. Longo's a squad player, so I'll put half on that. Caleb Taylor, we had a discussion earlier. He's obviously been brought in to get some game time. So really, out of everyone that we've signed so far, is that enough to deliver on a top 6? Is that enough to deliver on a top 8, whatever it might be? So, listen to say, we're not privy to what those conversations have been with Neil as to what the ambitions are for this season. But if they are to make the top 6, have we done enough to back him? I don't know. I don't think we have.
Again, I said it earlier, though, where Neil's concerned. And you do have to have some sympathy for everybody at the club at the moment, because the team we put out at Norwich, again, I know it seems a long time ago, but everyone before the game was absolutely delighted with that first team across the board. Okay, you might get a few people say, I don't know about this person, I don't know about this, but across the board, that team we put out was a good championship team. Okay, we started slowly, but we won the game and everyone was in a really, really good place. So you now look at it and go, no Jaff, no Billy, no Doughty, no Casper, no Aziz. That Alex Neil might be frustrated. He might be proverbially tearing his hair out, as Ben alluded to. But he's had half of his first choice team from the first game wiped from him within a month. So he is going to be frustrated, but that's not the club's fault. That's not Fairbrother's fault. That's not Gallen or whoever. Unfortunately, football doesn't stand still. It moves on, and things have to be rectified. But we have been incredibly unlucky. Whether Neil has what his relationship is like, I have no idea. I have no idea what he thinks about the setup or what his ideas are. But we do have to take into account that if you'd have asked him at 5:30 on the first day of the season, he would have been absolutely delighted with where we were. The fact that we've got injuries is damaging us. But again, to the other side of the coin, we have to try and rectify it. I keep saying it. We've now got an hour and 6 minutes till the window closes. Something has to happen to give him a fighting opportunity, because if it doesn't, he's under pressure, and then fans are coming to the games, whether it be home or away, going, right, what are we going to do? What's happening now? Who's going to play today? Why haven't we done this? Why haven't we done that? That for me isn't on Neil personally.
Sorry, can I just comment on that? I believe I read somewhere that the window will shut at 7 o'clock. But if a deal sheet has been submitted between the two clubs, there's still a grace period of 2 hours where you can still announce signings. So it could well go into like 9 o'clock, where things could still happen.
Yeah, I mean, as well, the other thing, just because we haven't announced signings doesn't mean that they're not happening, going to happen, all those sorts of things. Changing tack slightly.
Sorry, Chris, but you're still right, Stephen. I mean, you don't have much time now. So, yeah, absolutely spot on.
Want to get your... I need to talk about this because this is a bit like therapy for me. So I'm going to address it now, and then I'll move on, I'm sure. A right back. So Charlton... looks like they're going to sign James Bree. Of course, work with Nathan Jones. So, of course, he's probably always going to be a link there. But we would never have been in for him because we have said openly we don't want to sign a right back. I have said publicly many times I fundamentally disagree with our decision not to sign a right back. Discuss, chaps, just how important is it that we...
I'll go first because I've got probably different views to many. I don't think there's not an appetite to sign a right back at the club, but there is an appetite to fill more important roles first, and I think that's part of the problem. You've got someone like Tristan Cramo who's come in, proven unexpectedly to be a really good right back, not the finished article as a right back, but a really good right back, and I think anyone looking would probably say he's probably performed as well as most right backs in the division. He's probably one of the top 10 right backs in the championship off of whatever that is, 30 odd games in his career. So what could he go on to do at right back? So I think there's probably a feeling in the club that he's doing such a good job. Why go out and spend 3 or 4 million quid there when potentially we need to spend that money on a winger, a striker, or a centre midfielder? And also, it's probably easier to pick up really good centre backs than it is to pick up flying right backs, full-backs like he is. So that's another, if you think we had Balo, we had Cresswell, we then picked up Jaff, we've had a lot of success picking up those kind of players. Now we've got Taylor, who, sounds very promising. So I don't think it's that we don't want one. It's just about when we do it. And I suspect it will probably be next summer, might be January, depending on how things go. But, I think we've just got to be realistic. I've had a debate with somebody on Twitter yesterday. It was like, we can get a good right back for 2 million quid. We should just do it. And it's like, where does all this money come from? Our wage bill has gone through the roof over the last 4 or 5, literally, I haven't got numbers in front of me, but you're talking going from sort of 18 to 25 million in 2 or 3 seasons. And it will have gone up again because of all this transfer business last window and now this window. I think people have just got to kind of remember who we are and where we are to some degree.
I also, sorry, Chris, just on that, I also think with the money side of things and someone saying, let's just sign Fred Bloggs for £2 million. I think we all have to realise that if Mill offered us a contract, we'd all take it in a heartbeat. We'd snap it up to play for the club. But not every professional footballer in the world wants to play for Millwall. As much as we'd like them to, they don't. And I think that's where you see people go, why don't we go for this player? Why don't we go for this player? We all have our opinions. I think sometimes there has to be a little bit of realism as well, that just because we need a player or we like the look of a player doesn't necessarily mean that they want to come and play for us. And I think sometimes that gets lost when, people, there's a comment, and not devaluing it at all, but a comment saying, why don't we hijack the Charlton's deal for that right back? He may want to play for Nathan Jones, he may want to play for Charlton, he might not want to. Do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of things that go into a deal, and I think sometimes that we as a fan base, and we're not the only one, everyone does it, but we as a fan base forget that not everybody wants to come and play for us as much as we'd like them to.
Yeah, I agree with you, Stephen, 100%. And I think if we went in for Jamesbury, he probably would choose Charlton, right? But I'm almost certain we didn't go in for him, and that's the problem I have. I think that whilst I give a slightly different angle, I agree with Phil that I think Kramer has the potential to be a very, very good right back, and I think he can play that attacking right back role. I think you saw on Saturday when he switched from centre back to right back, he looked a little bit lost. It must be very difficult in game to go from being this centre back to this marauding right back, when you try to deal with Kiefer Moore all game. So I don't like that constant switching. But the bigger problem I have is not Kramer at right back. It is Taylor at centre back. Now, I don't know if he's going to be amazing, but for us to sit here and assume that Caleb Taylor can come in, he's played 4 games in the Championship, and replace Javit Tanganga like that, not for me. And that is my bigger concern. And that is why I wanted a right back so that Kramer could play at centre back. Or you bring another centre back in that's ready. West Brom have gone out and signed Chris Mepham. It's
an interesting one, Chris. Sorry to cut anyone else off there. The big question here really comes down to squad planning. And maybe we might even just go on to talk about that at some later stage. But, we renewed Ryan Leonard's contract, renewed Wes Harding's contract. But we kind of knew that they weren't really the players that we wanted, or the type of players we wanted. Great individuals, by the way. Everybody at the club talked really, really highly of them. But they weren't the type of player we wanted, but the right character. But then, obviously we let other people go in different positions. And you just sort of think, has that cost us now? Because if we had let them go, then we could have gone out and got an equivalent of a Zach Sturge on the right-hand side. Whereas at the moment, if you go and get another right back, then basically you're saying to Lenny and to Wes, you've almost got no chance of getting any game time whatsoever. So you've just signed up to new deals to not play at all. You're then saying to Kramer, if he doesn't go to centre back because Taylor's there, your reward for being brilliant, helping us out at right back is you're on the bench. Or you're saying to Taylor, yep, we have paid whatever 1, 2, 3 million quid for you. You're not going to play either. So I think there is a question of sort of strategic planning. And the other one that, people might feel differently about, Alfie Doughty, I really like him. Great player. But when you've already got Joe Bryan, there's an argument to say, did we actually need him? The opportunity came up, and I get why we did it, because it was probably too good an opportunity not to do it. But if you've got a plan, should you have stuck to it? And should we have, said, great opportunity, Alfie, but really we need a right back. So unless you can play there, that's not kind of what we're looking for.
And Phil, just to add to that, and then I'd love to hear from the boys. Going back to the planning, obviously, for example, this young Derek lad looks really good in the videos, but he's cost us 500 grand, I think, roughly. So going back to your point about there's not an infinite pot of money, if we really need a right back, is it not better to spend that on something like that as opposed to another project? Just being devil's advocate here, would love to get opinions on that.
Sorry, I thought that was going back to Phil. I thought you.
Oh, sorry, can do, yeah.
Anyone fill in.
I think it's just pressure sometimes to do deals. I think last year, we were a little bit stuck in the transfer window in the summer and nothing had happened. We signed Langstaff really early from memory, and then suddenly the deals that perhaps the club wanted to happen couldn't quite happen. So they started maybe forcing the pace with things like Dan Kelly, who we had a deal to do. It was done, but we then ended up paying more money to bring him in early. Was that, because we wanted to be able to announce it and get it over the line. You know, it's difficult sometimes because there's a lot of stuff that goes into these deals, and some of it is around, you know, the media side of things as well. You know, and who knows?
I think personally that we are notoriously. I was just reading a couple of tweets, and funny enough, it's an Aberdeen fan saying that they're in a position where they have to wait for other clubs to do their business before they can do theirs. That's where they are in the kind of food chain, if you will. And we're still in that position. Whilst we've tried to spend more money, we do have to also wait for someone else to move, and then the next person moves, and then maybe we then come in and are able to take a player that we want. Obviously, on transfer deadline day, players that are available, that's slightly different. You know, agents are looking, you know, their players are out of favour at, you know, Swansea or whatever. They're desperately trying to offload players, so it's slightly different. But for us, it is kind of where we are. We are trying to be better, and we are trying to be a progressive club, but we still have to know our place in the footballing world as such. As difficult as it might be to say in here, unfortunately, that's what's happens to us. We are reliant on other clubs doing business first.
We are. I'm going to be controversial tonight. To me, Harding is not good enough to be a centre back consistently at Championship level. There, I've said it. Discuss, but before discuss, I think Stephen, you've got to drop off. Do you want to say your piece and then and then
I thought when the idea come up of doing a transfer deadline day show that it might be a little bit more positive and a little bit more upbeat, and we'd have all been talking about, and I don't think I'll be alone in this. A couple of listeners have said the same thing. I didn't expect us to be going to 6 o'clock on deadline day and not one thing has actually been announced apart from Adam Mayer leaving the club. I think that is quite disappointing from my perspective, and I'm sure the others. I do have to shoot. I really hope that you guys for the rest of the show get something to get your teeth into. I hope it's not just the Austrian winger that we seem to think is kind of close to being over the line, but hopefully the window will close and we can look forward to Charlton away and with a couple of new additions. And if not, our good friend Derek from France will pop up. I put on Twitter the other day he's the Zampa Road Zidane, so I'm hoping for big things from young Derek. But thanks for having me on, and hopefully in the next hour you guys get something to discuss that's a little bit more positive. All right.
Thanks for coming on, Stato. Have a good rest of your evening, buddy.
Yeah. Cheers, see you later, guys.
Yeah,
bye, bye.
Ben, I know you've got to shoot off pretty soon too. Just summarise your thoughts on the above.
Mate, well, first of all, I don't think the Harding opinion is controversial. Not in my head, anyway, mate. Listen, you ain't got to look at the amount of game time he played for Rotherham and Birmingham when they were in the Championship. He didn't, right? It's been mainly in League One. The right back thing will forever be a debate, right? Because exactly like Phil said, it's not an infinite pot of money. It's also, we're not just going to sign 10 right backs and have them on the books, right? So the fact that we've extended players' deals that play in that position has already told us that they don't prioritise a right back as a position. But in my head, Cromer has been signed as a centre-half. He is a Rolls Royce of a centre-half, so therefore I want to see him at centre-half. That's just my opinion. Can he play right back? Yeah, but we've fallen upon that, right? So...
But does that matter? I mean, Colin Cooper started as a fullback. Mick McCarthy moved him centre-back and he went on to play for England.
No, I don't think it matters. No, I don't think it does, but I still... just my opinion, I think he's going to be a centre-half. He's going to be. What if he has a higher ceiling as a fullback than he does as a centre back? What if the coaches and the staff, because ultimately they're playing him there, so they're not doing that because they think he's crap there. They're doing that because he thinks he's. But he hasn't been, has he? He's been. He hasn't. No. So what if they think that his ceiling at fullback could be a £10 million Premiership move in 18 months' time as a fullback, whereas a centre back maybe they think he's going to be good, but the level's just not as high as where he could get to as a fullback. They might think that. Then my question would be, we haven't got enough cover at centre back, or anyone we're short at centre half.
Thank you.
That comes back to re-signing. That comes back to re-signing, Wes and Lenny, doesn't it?
Exactly.
My point about squad planning has probably been a little bit wonky. I get it. It just doesn't. It's not. I have a lot of sympathy for Steve Young. It's not easy to pull all the moving parts together. And with Hutch leaving, Murray leaving, Sav leaving, Honeyman leaving, there's a lot of senior players there. If you suddenly let Wes and Lenny go as well, imagine how many more players we'd be sitting here with 52 minutes to go thinking we need.
Yeah. Again, I don't disagree. We're either short of right back or we're short of centre half.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting either one in now, right? With who we've already signed. So yeah, but long-term planning, I would still like to see a really, really attacking fullback. But like you said, Phil, it's probably easier to sign a centre half than it is because everyone wants attacking wing backs, right?
But sorry, Ben, it could also be that they are looking at a right back, but they want a good deal at the right price, the player at the right price, and maybe that's not in this window, and maybe that becomes an opportunity in the next window. So they're not gonna. It's not the highest priority to bring in a right back, as Phil said, because we've got Kramer who's doing a really good job. But if the right player comes along all of a sudden at the right price, then we might, make a move for it. And otherwise, we are looking, to strengthen in other positions which are more important. It seems, at least, for the time being. That's how I look at it, at least, because everyone's crying out for a new right back or a centre back. So, but how much money do we want to put into it right now? In terms of what we actually need. And I think we need more some attacking threat going forward than we need a right back at the minute.
But also, Jess, we have to bear in mind that we've only got a couple of squad slots that we can bring people into unless we let people go. I mean, Nisbet sounds like he's going out the door, so that might free up a bit of space. So it's quite tricky to sort of think, oh, well, if a good deal comes up, we'll take a right back, but we also still need a centre midfielder. Still, we might just not be able to do it. Whilst it's not what people want, it might just be what we need for right now. A question for the three of you that I was thinking about. I haven't probably quite got my own answer to this, but do we think the squad is better today than it was at the end of last season?
Well, I think to answer that question, you need to look through what's different, right? So let's go through that, as we've got so much time.
No news to share.
No news. No news is good news, they say. Goalkeeper, I personally think, and again, this is through no fault of anyone's, but I think Bender is not as good as Jensen. So I would just my opinion. Feel free to agree or disagree. So I would say a downward point there. I think at the centre back we're worse off because Jaff's not here, and I think he is an outstanding player at this level. Right back, in theory, we're the same, but because of the centre back challenges, maybe we're not. Left back, the same. I think you could maybe argue that we're slightly improved by having Sturge, but then he was here in theory. So therefore, I think at the moment we're still saying we're slightly worse off. In the centre of the park, Luongo for Sav, probably a fair. I would say Saville's got more of an engine, but I think Luongo's probably slightly classier. I think is, Phil, don't hate me for that, but that would be my assumption. So we'll equal out there. On the wings, no change, right? Maybe Doughty, but he's injured. And up front, it's the same strikers that were last year. So in my opinion, it's the same, if not with the injuries, slightly worse. Would be my take.
Yeah, and I would say we are. Yeah, sorry, Ben. No, I just say we're less experienced. It's without a doubt with the players that we let go in the window, but it shows that the board and the owner has a clear strategy of what they want going forward. And unfortunately, we as fans, we can't change that. But of course, we lack experience in the park, and you do wonder if things starts to go sideways a bit in the league, how do we cope with that? With the young squad, how do we cope when things go against us? If we start to lose, God forbid it, 3-4 on the bounce, how do we react as a team? That's one of the things that comes to mind when having such a young squad. So, but I would agree with Chris. I think quality-wise, we're the same. Maybe I wouldn't say slightly better, but yeah, it's more or less the same team. And we could still do with more speed. I think based on the YouTube videos you see with this Balo guy, he reminds me a little bit about Connolly in the way he drives with the ball. He's got pace. He can take on a player. He's 1v1. He's good, and I think that's something we need in the squad that we haven't seen for a long time. We don't have many of these players, and then we have those we have are unfortunately injured.
Some interesting comments from people from there. I noticed somebody sort of said, "Are we concerned?" I'll be honest, I'm not concerned because I don't think that we're at risk of being in the bottom 3 or 4 or whatever. But I think there just might need to be some adjustment to the expectations at the other end of the table.
I've seen chaps. I'm seeing a lot of players that I would class as proven championship quality that are going to other teams. So Connor Chaplin looks like he's going to Portsmouth. Patrick Roberts looks like he's going to
Derby,
Birmingham. Alan Brown going to Middlesbrough. Chiozi Ogbene going to Sheffield United. These are all players that Ben Sheaf going to Wrexham. All right, admittedly very expensive. What's your thoughts on that? Why do you think we're not in the market for some of these chaps? Excuse the pun.
Well, we may have been in the market for them. We don't know. That's part of the problem, isn't it? We only kind of know the things that we're linked with and that we hear about. And maybe they're just, maybe they don't, as Jesper said, they don't tick the plan. They're not, I mean, look, Sheaf is, what did he go for? 6.5 million quid, 27, 3-year deal, take him to 30. You're not getting any money at the back end of that as a club, and that's definitely not our model. So would we?
Does everyone have to fit the model, Phil? Every single signing?
Well, they don't, because Alfie Doughty didn't. So they don't have to, but they do have to represent some form of great value somewhere along the way. 6.5 million quid for Sheep for us probably is just a little bit too rich. That's probably a little bit too far. But that's the big question, isn't it? And that's probably the one we don't know. And maybe one day we might be able to get the chairman to come on here and talk to us about it, or Steve Gallen, and have that debate. It would be quite interesting to know because, I mean, there is flexibility, but what determines that flexibility? Is it the fee? Is it the wages? Is it the role in the team that we need filled? I don't know. We don't really know the answer to that, but it is a challenge. I'm looking at the list of the 24 players that we've currently signed to date in the last 3 windows, and there's a lot of prospective youth there, but we've got to start. We'll be at a point soon where we'll have signed 30 players, in 3, possibly 4 windows, and the squad we're sitting here today, squad hasn't really changed much from last season. That's enough to have completely radicalised the team, and I suppose we've got to ask the question: has that really happened yet? Are we as far down the road as we would like to be, or do we just need to wait a little bit longer for some of these players to come good? And also, in the club's defence, if we get all of these players back fit, things will look really different. In 6 weeks, 7 weeks time, when hopefully probably at least 3 or 4 of these players are back, we are going to look really different. And we're going to be winning games again, and we're going to probably all feel a lot more positive.
I'm sure.
I'm just going to comment on the Ben Sheaf one as well, because it's been mentioned a few times. I'm going to turn the question around. If we did sign Ben Sheaf for 6.5 million quid, what would we be thinking?
Too much.
Exactly.
Too much for us. Too much for us, I'd say. I mean, what is his ceiling? I'm not saying we should flip every player that we buy, but again, you buy him for 6.5, and it's a lot of money for us. That will be nearly double what we paid for our most expensive player. Yeah. I don't know. He's a good player, but Coventry sold him and they haven't used him that much. So I don't know. I would say it's too much. If you could get him for 2 or 3, okay, fair play. It would be a really good player, but I don't know.
I completely concur on that. I admit, I tweeted that we should be going after Ben Sheaf when I saw the price tag. Absolutely not. Considering how injury prone he is as well. I think Lewis Travis is one that, and again, maybe he didn't want to come down south. I'm not privy to this. It's not my job to be, but that's the type of profile. I think the one to me that, in my opinion, if Swansea can sign him, we can, is Manuel Benson. If Swansea can afford him, then we should be able to. And that's the one I think that I would be looking at. But again, to True Blue's point, who knows? Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't want to come. We don't know what we don't know, right? And that's the beauty of football that we certainly don't know. Bobby, stop chatting out of your backside. Stop winding people up. He's just looking for something to tell us about. I hope you're well, mate. Travis wanted to join up with the execs boss. Probably, absolutely. But and I also think we've probably courted him for some time now. And Alex has made a good point here. If we're spending $6.5 million on defend, I'd rather go on someone like Brook Norton-Cuffy. I think, unfortunately, that ship has sailed. He's very happy playing for Mr. Vieira over in Italy, I believe. What's this? Glad Stim has left the chat.
Harsh. I was just saying that Brook Norton-Cuffy's probably on considerably more than we'd be paying wage-wise now, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. That ship has certainly sailed, I think, and it would probably, as John says in the chat, would cost up to 10 million. Guys, I realised we've got an hour and 15 minutes, and I haven't plugged anything. God, I haven't said subscribe. I haven't said like. I haven't said any of it. So I'm going to do it now, and that will fill at least 30 seconds. So if you haven't already, or even if you don't know if you're subscribed, please check. Go in and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. As you know, everything we do is for cancer research. I am going to be walking the Shine Walk, which is a marathon through the night on the 20th of September. So we'll put the link on our socials. So obviously, we really appreciate all the money that people continuously donate. Give us a like. Obviously, all the comments, it all helps the algorithm, and everything that we raise, all the profits, as you know, always go to cancer research. We are hoping this season, obviously last season we did the fundraising day. We're hoping to repeat that again this season, and hopefully got a few things up our sleeve. So we really appreciate all the support, guys. I believe there's about 308 of you listening live. We've had almost 2,000 people come in and come out throughout the show so far. So just a massive chunk of gratitude from everyone here to all of you for tuning in on. We're trying to keep it interesting in absence of anything. And Dan Marsh promises that if he hears of anything, he will come on and give us an exclusive if he hears of anything. So watch that space. Gents, 40 minutes to go.
Twitchy bum time yet?
Yeah, I don't know. Have we signed fucking no one from South Korea? Yeah, I believe he's en route, mate. I do believe he's en route. Dorset Wall, I will do that. Thank you very much, mate. I will get that out there now. Much appreciated as always. There you go. I'll just pop that in the chat.
We didn't kind of finish off the conversation about Mark's video.
No,
I'm seeing that come up on my Twitter feed quite a lot while we're sitting here. I thought that, yeah, I think there's probably just a bit more conversation about that. I'm just interested in other people's thoughts. I know Stephen touched on it a bit. You know, I'll just give my sixpence, I suppose. I really like Mark, and I think he's very progressive and got some great ideas, very personable. I think probably the big thing with that video is the timing of it. I think looking back, it came out a couple of months ago, so it was probably either just before the window started or the window had just opened. And I think it's probably, you know, old school football comms people would probably say never ever do an interview in the middle of the transfer window or in the transfer window, and never ever kind of over promise, under deliver. It's always got to be under promise, over deliver. I don't know who kind of remembers. There was one of the really early January windows when John had not long taken over the club. We were doing really well. Might have been the Chris Wood period. I can't remember. And John made a statement about we're really going to go for it. And I think we didn't sign anybody in the January window or something. And it's one of those classic, you know, he learned from that really quickly. It's one of those classic, you know, you have to under promise and over deliver, because an expectation from that video has been set. In good faith, absolutely good faith. You know, I know, talk to people at the club, they're out there trying to do some fantastic deals, but they just can't always come off for a host of reasons. You know, Arabi last week, you know, he was on his way here from, you know, do a medical, and then, you know, a bigger club that's playing Champions League or Europe suddenly comes along and wants a player that we're interested in. Probably not difficult to guess where they're going to end up.
Phil, I think you've summarised it. I'm not sure I can add much on top of that.
Try.
I think I can, yeah. I echo. I think, you know, every interaction I've had with Mark, and to be honest, everyone at the club, they're all good people. They're all trying their best. They're all trying to do everything they can to move the club forwards. I do think, what is it they say, you know, do your work in silence or whatever it is. I don't know what the phrase is. And I think if you come out with a statement, and knowing how genuine and how much of a nice bloke Mark is, you know, he's on a live show, just like we all know here. When we say something, we can't take it back, right? We've said it, you know. And I think he's probably one of those things where sometimes you're in the moment and you say these things. He interviewed very, very well outside of that, and really gave me like this excitement to be a Millwall fan right now. And there are so many reasons to be excited. If you just isolate today, just take that out of the equation and the injuries, there are so many reasons to be excited, and it's really important we don't lose sight of that. But I think that, you know, I do agree with you, Phil, that if you're going to make comments like that, they have to be backed up. And who knows, in the next 37 minutes, they may well be.
Yeah, we are buying in bulk, aren't we? Usually, you know, you got 3 for 1, and then we announce everything at once.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well, like, there's probably loads of videos. You know, I'm sure Max and the team are creating these incredible videos, and that's what the slow is. I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure it is.
Probably. Yeah.
Interesting. The other thing I was thinking about the other day, because, you know, I've certainly had some views on kind of the changes to the recruitment team and stuff like that. And we did, you know, apart from losing Alex last summer, we've also lost 2 or 3 other key individuals in the recruitment team over the last 3 or 4 months, which is not great timing. But you know, that'll sort itself out over time. But I think one of the things, everybody's very focused about recruitment when it comes to incoming players, and we all get excited about incoming players, and it's great that, you know, we've signed 24 players. But I think part of the art of a really successful recruitment team is not just the players you can bring in, it's getting our players out on loan, but it's also getting some of the other players moved on. You know, players don't just get, you know, have bids come in and move on. There'll be certain players in our group that we need to oil the wheels a little bit to make that happen. You know, we don't currently have, you know, a loan manager, for example. A lot of clubs now have that. You know, maybe that's a role that, you know, the chairman will look at in the next 6, 9, 12 months time, because that will definitely make a difference to have somebody who's building that network to get some of our players slightly better loans than perhaps we're getting at the moment. But equally, you know, trying to make sure that there are deals being done to move on some of the players that we now consider surplus, but might still have a year or 2 left on their contract. You know, recruitment is not just about what comes in. It's, you know, it's also about how you help create space in the group.
It is. It is. I mean, we've after he failed his medical at a rival podcast, we have unfortunately willingly accepted back Mr. Joe Zampa, who's been pinging me constantly on WhatsApp, so basically telling all of us to cheer up, and we sound like we're at a funeral. So come
Honestly,
on then, Joe. Give us
like
optimism, mate. Come on.
In here, what the fuck is going on? Have we signed Litman Johnson yet? Have we? Has he signed yet?
Failed a medical, mate.
I've heard of Arthur Swedish. Was he a bit stiff? Was he? What was wrong with him?
You would know.
Honestly, I know it'd be fucking very, very sloppy if I met him. But I don't look. I think we've got our faith still, guys. We've got half an hour to go. Everything's always done at the last minute. I do feel that they're trying. I'm guessing they've got a few targets. These things take a bit of time to announce. I'll be surprised if, you know, these deals have not been done already. Just needs to be announced. Maybe, who knows? They're probably working on some editing videos and whatever, aren't they? You know, so be kind of positive and optimistic. I think we will definitely get a couple more through the door. Has Nisbet gone now, or what? What's happening? Is he on the way leaving?
It looks like it. It looks like he is. Well, the Daily Record, we know they're usually a fairly reliable source, seem to believe that he's going to go there for a 6-figure fee. We've had a few jokes in the chat as to what 6 figures actually means, but
Sky Sports have reported it as well.
A 6-figure fee. Jeez, I don't know how we feel about that, but look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think if in fact he's going out, or he's going to be going out, it shows confidence that we bring players in. I don't think we'll let him go out unless we're bringing 1 or 2 in. So again, just be a little bit positive of it. Or I think it's going to happen. I don't know who it is, but yeah, I'd be very surprised if it doesn't happen today. I'll be honest with you.
Well, it's done that today. It's not happening at all.
It's not gonna. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure this thing's gonna be happening. We just need to just be a bit, positive, really. I don't know what areas that are most important. I've said for a long time, I think right back is important. I heard a few of you guys when I was working talking about the Crammer situation. I think he's a very, very good right back, but I think he's an excellent centre back. Against Coventry, watching him live, I thought he was a Rolls Royce. When I watched him against Wrexham, I thought he done really well. Again, he looked very good on the ball against a very, very sort of tough opposition. You saw Kiefer Moore switch from Cooper to Crammer, almost targeting him. But I thought Crammer dealt with him. I don't see him getting the better of him. That little mistake at the end that cost us a goal, that was just a misunderstanding between Crammer and Bender. Who knows? He might have got a shout from Bender, say my ball, and left it for him. But then Bender comes out and doesn't punch the ball away. So you can't blame that on Crammer. But I think he's decent. I would love to get a decent right back in, allow him to play centre back. He is the replacement for Tanganga, Crammer. That's the reason why we signed in the first place. Get a decent right back in. If that right back gets injured or suspended, we know we can move Crammer out on the right. And we've got Calatainer, we've got Grant to come in as well if need be. But yeah, right back is a priority. But I wasn't there at the actual fans forum, but you guys were there, and Alex Neil did say they're not interested in signing the right back. So that sort of worries me a little bit. But then that was a few months back, wasn't it? So a lot of change since then. I don't know.
I don't see us signing a right back. We've had this. I mean, this makes me feel physically ill. This conversation. So I don't really want to go through it again.
There's no rumours, is there either?
No, right back's not going to happen. It's not. Tristan will play it right back.
I agree.
I'm pretty convinced.
Yeah, which is a shame.
There was one small rumor which floated about, and I don't know who it came from on X. It was about this Brian Pereira who plays at NEC in Holland. So we did a little digging on Instagram. We found a few people in Holland, and the manager said yesterday after the game, they played for Tuna Sittard, which is Cian's old team, by the way. And he said that there had been interest in Brian from England, but he didn't say what teams it was. So you never know. And it's not a long trip from Holland to England if you need to do your medical today. So I'm just putting it out there. It's very vague, and I know it could be nothing in it. I'm just saying that there was something.
But we mentioned on our own WhatsApp group, didn't we, as well, how many right backs we've got at our club? You've got potentially Wes Harding as a backup for Crammer. You got Leonard, Danny Mack when he eventually comes back. You even got George Beaumont, the youngster, only 21. Who again could make some appearances if need be later in the season. So when you've got like 5 right backs, do you really want to sign a 6th right back? What's going to happen to the others? Unless Wes is going to go and a few others, which I can't see happening now. I guess I'm with you, Chris. I can't see us signing right back, but it's a shame. That's what we need. We desperately need that, and allow Crammer to play in the middle, and he is the replacement for Tanganga. At the moment, we're playing a little bit of a gamble here, whether Caleb Taylor's going to be good enough to play there instead of Tanganga or Kamal Grant. So interesting, but let's hope that they've got this all in order anyway.
Thing is, we see it as they're playing a gamble, but ultimately they've scouted him. They've spent a lot of time watching him. He's highly rated. He's expensive. So maybe it isn't a gamble. Maybe they just, they've seen a lot more of them and feel a lot more confident than we do.
Just before, so I want to touch on some really interesting comments around Caleb Taylor from Alex Neil in a minute. But before we do that, Mr. Green needs to go because he needs to start a new round of Football Manager. So, Ben, do you want to say bye, mate?
He's restarted. He's restarted. Yes, you do. You have a bad season. You press the reset button, don't you?
Thanks, is the worst, mate. Don't accuse me of that. No, listen, I hope it does pick up for the next 28 minutes. I think, listen, even my ambitious shout of 2 seems like a long shot at the minute. But yeah, enjoy the next 28 minutes, fellas.
I'm going for free. Still free. There's still time.
Right, I hope you're right.
There's still time.
Enjoy, chaps.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks, mate.
See you later.
Cheers,
Bye.
Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some interesting comments from Alex Neil that kind of, I don't know, like I took them as he said something like Caleb Taylor will be a very good centre back, or words to that ilk. What do we make of that?
I think he just means what we kind of know, which is he is a little bit unproven. I mean, he is a Ballard or a Cresswell, isn't he? And both of them, you know, Cresswell came in, scored against Stoke on the opening game. Did he get 1 or 2 on the opening game of the season?
I think he got 2, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Then we went up to Sheffield United. I was there, and he had a bit of a mix-up with the keeper, and then I think the ball went out to that. You know, anyway, it was a poor game for him up at Sheffield United. And then not long after, he came out of the team, and then he had to wait his turn for an injury. Came back in, and he was much better. It's just going to take time. So when he says he will be, I don't think that's like a criticism of the signing. I think it's more the reality of he's just not the finished article, you know. And look, if you said to Alex Neil, would you rather we kept Japhet Tanganga or would you rather have Caleb Taylor? It's not even every single manager is going to pick Japhet Tanganga, but he's a realist. He knows what the deal is, and he knows to replace Tanganga, it's a £5 or £10 million signing.
But Phil, in that case, Caleb Taylor, is he the replacement for Tanganga then?
Well, I think personally, yeah, I think they have signed him to
for here and now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Kramer's going to be at right back, and Taylor maybe not for the next 2 or 3 games while he beds himself in, but yeah, I think that probably is the case. I mean, look, you know, it happened with Jake Cooper. Jake Cooper came in as a young kid, very similar stature and everything, and you know, he fitted in pretty quickly. I think we've just got to trust, you know.
But we were League One there. I guess it's slightly easier for Jake Cooper to kind of come in and get into the team at this stand of the championship.
Ballard and Cresswell did it.
Yeah, but I guess
they were coming from Premier League clubs. They're a completely different profile of player.
West Brom Academy is not awful, is it?
You could throw Kramer into that one. You could throw Kramer, and he hadn't played much more than League One and then some reserve football at Brentford, and he was what? He's 23, 24.
But we know Kramer now, don't we? We wouldn't have put him in there.
But we didn't know him when we signed him in January. That was also a bit of a gamble when we put him on first. How good is he? To play in the Championship?
If we sign Kramer now, we didn't know who he was. Will we say he's good enough to go and step in and fill in Tanganga's boots at the moment? Probably not. And he might need a few games to Phil's point. What I'm saying is we need someone proven to play at the back. It's a very, very important position to play alongside Cooper. To fill in Tanganga's boots is a massive, massive thing to do. And I just don't see Caleb Taylor. I'm sure he's got potential to be really good. I just don't see him coming in and being a starter week in, week out. I would much rather move Kramer in there for the next few games. But then the alternative, you're playing Lenny right back and you're sacrificing him going forward. You know what you could do defensively, but it's what he can't give us offensively. And with us playing with the inside wing on the right-hand side, you need a right back that's going to overlap.
Joe, this is it, mate. Like, and this is why I've been saying, whether you can look at it one of 2 ways. You either say we need a right back because Kramer needs to play centre back, or you say Kramer plays right back and therefore Taylor maybe isn't ready yet. Either way, we need another body, right? Yeah. My problem is in an Alex Neil team, pretty much every move starts with the fullbacks, and we saw that Saturday. It wasn't good enough with Sturge and with Lenny there, and there's just not enough depth there like that. And to me, how the club cannot see that is beyond me. And I'm not a scout. I don't know.
They can see it though, Chris. I'm pretty sure they can see it. But
why don't they do something about it?
Because they've got a list of priorities and they've only got 2 or 3 slots, and it's not the biggest priority.
Don't get me wrong. If Caleb Taylor, if Caleb Taylor plays next few games and gets man of the match awards and it's absolutely fantastic, everyone's singing his praises, and Kramer stays at right back, you got to say, you know what, fair play, they got this right, our back four sorted, yeah, no problem. But at the moment, it's what we know now. It's hard to make
but we don't know anything about Caleb Taylor, so we're all worrying about something we don't know.
We don't, exactly. But now's the time for us to do something about it. Unless they know a lot more than we do. They haven't seen him play.
Well, they do. That's why they've just paid 2 or 3 million quid for him.
Yeah, but he's not proving the championship level, is he, at the moment?
Neither was Balo or Cresswell. I mean...
yeah, but that's different. You bring them on loan, didn't you? You bring them there, and they are from a higher calibre. They're Premiership calibre, weren't they, at the time?
But, so, I mean, we've signed loads of Premiership.
They're also more physical.
Troy Parrott was Premiership.
They were, yeah. But he got thrown in as well. You know, you trust Premiership. If you bring a Premiership player on loan, no matter how old they are, you think they're going to be good enough to
you trust the academy. Would you trust somebody out of the Southampton academy over somebody out of
Right now?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, generally the Southampton Academy has got a fantastic reputation. I mean, you know, this is the sort of stuff that the scouts and the recruitment people are looking at, but they're not just looking at where they came from. They're looking at all their stats, their data, what they know about them. I think we just got, you know, they've made that decision for a reason. It's not that they think, you know, that they don't want a right back, but right now it's probably not the most pressing position. And if they did, 750, whatever it is, 655, spend £3 million on a right back, then that would be amazing. But then we've got Taylor sitting around doing nothing, Lenny sitting around doing nothing, Wes sitting around doing nothing. It's just not the right play for now. That's all. That's, you know, I don't disagree that we need one. I just don't think we need one now.
He could be great. Callum Taylor could be great for us. And like I said, it's all sorted. But I don't know. It just feels like we've lost Tanganga, and yeah, we kind of replaced him with Callum Taylor at the moment. Whether he plays or not, I don't know. It just like needs, we need some additional support there, whether it be a centre back or right back at the moment. I don't know.
But to your point, Phil, to your point, Phil, there's just one thing I want to say, and it's, you know, about spending money. I think we also need to spend money in order to have a quality squad. I mean, it's well and good that we have 11 who's really good, but we need, I would say personally, we need 15, 16, you know, on the same level, so you can replace them one for one, you know, because we know injuries, suspensions, etc. Then we can always discuss that, you know, number 17 to 30, that they can be, you know, slightly less good. But I'd still say that you can still spend money on a player, bringing in competition who might not necessarily start in the beginning, but you need to have quality and depth also, because we saw, especially at Sheffield United, he looked at the bench after the Borough game, that we were just lacking, you know, numbers and good numbers as well. So, but I think that's where we want to be. At one point, we're not there. So I understand the fact that we don't want to spend millions now on a right back, because when they're all fit, we're covered, and we're more than covered. I think we have a really good back four. So I get that point. I just wanted to say that.
We have to consider that in 4 or 6 weeks' time, there's going to be hopefully 3, 4, 5, 6 players coming back into the group.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so whilst it's frustrating at the moment, you just can't keep buying players because, you know, we've got some players out injured.
There won't be another centre back or right back coming back though. And this is the thing. And this is where, if we want to be a top 6 team, even it's not going to, but he's not going to be in a few months, is he? No. But like, if we want to be a top 6 team, the difference is, let's just take the West Brom example. We go and sign someone for £2.5 million that West Brom quite clearly don't deem good enough. Otherwise, let's be honest, he'd be playing. And they go and sign Chris Mepham. And yet that's what we're competing with to get in the playoffs. And listen, I'm not blaming anyone on that, because I'm sure Chris Mepham probably over the course of the deal is more expensive than Caleb Taylor. What I'm trying to say is that is what we're up against. And, you know, are our expectations too high? This is what we're. Sheffield United, you know, they're not going to be in the top 2 because of how bad the start have been. They're going to be in around the top 6 at best. They go and sign Javit Tanganga for £8 million. Ben Godfrey. Admittedly, they're a parachute club, right? But my point is, we are signing other teams' players that they deem not good enough, and we're trying to aim for the top 6.
Mm. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Caleb Taylor, I think he's got all the potential to be a very good player. I think we are, aren't we?
Not sure. I'm not sure. I think we think that as fans. I'm not sure the boardroom's thinking that. Our transfer business doesn't really scream we're aiming for the top 6, because you'd be buying players for the here and now if that was the case, and we're not really doing a lot of that. We're buying projects. Majority of the signings we make are projects.
We are, but we haven't lost many key players from last season that gave us the
Saville, Honeyman, Tanganga.
The run of form we had last season to achieve to where we got to, very, very close to reaching a playoff place. We're probably one of the most informed teams the last 10, 15 games. You know, we've managed to keep hold to, okay, Tanganga's moved on now. But what I'm saying is we're adding a little bit of extra quality, we're adding some youth players, we're looking at that succession planning. If we could bring 1 or 2 more before the window shuts tonight, it's not really been a terrible transfer window. And I don't think we played that terribly against Wrexham. Even the first half hour, 40 minutes against Middlesbrough, I thought we were brilliant the week before. But we go a goal down and everything just sort of collapses, doesn't it, a little bit, unfortunately. You can see it, that even when we went 1-0 down against Wrexham, I was looking around all our players and we didn't have any leaders on the pitch there to really galvanise us and pick us up and, you know, make us go again.
I think it's definitely true. We've lost a huge amount of on-pitch leadership.
Phil,
I mean,
Phil,
against
to your
Middlesbrough.
defence, Phil, if South was playing, he would have been saying, "Look, let's get fucking back into it. 1-0 down. Let's go, lads."
The Middlesbrough player Edmondson, who ran down the touchline taking the proverbial out of us, that he wouldn't. Somebody, I just believe someone like Sav would have confronted him. There would have been some friction. Whereas actually most of our players just sort of looked the other way and walked off.
But even on the Wrexham game, you'll have Billy Mitchell clapping to the players. Come on, guys! Casper would have been doing that. They're both injured, and when you lose those sort of players from your first team, and you're bringing in younger players, inexperienced players who don't quite get us at the moment, it's very hard. You need that leader on there. Luongo potentially the leader. He's only been there 5 minutes.
But I think Luongo is a leader, but I think he's the kind of leader off the pitch where he sets really good examples, where he's probably a really good mentor to the kids, where he's a really good confidant. I'm not sure that he's the voice and that kind of individual like say Jed used to be, and that's what I think. And it comes back to your point. We're aiming for the top 6. Well, if we are, our transfer business doesn't say that, because we've let those people go, and the sort of people that should have been coming in to replace them. I'm not saying these individuals, but would be a Travis, would be a Malumbi. They would be, or a Sheaf for a different price level. They would be 25, 26, a couple of 100 Champions League games, some good leadership experience, good personalities, but they're not the players coming in. We're buying players that are going to be that in 18, 24 months' time.
I agree, yeah. I think Luongo is a leader, but he's not a vocal leader. He does his talking on the pitch. You see the tackles he puts in, the battles he wins. Players have got his respect already, his colleagues.
Yeah, and that's great. He's 33 and he can't play 90 minutes 2 or 3 times a week. So
I agree.
For all of those things, it doesn't really help us.
I agree.
Can I just want to go back to mine and Jesper's wish list in the start of the summer. This was right at the start of the summer when we basically wrote up what we think we needed. So I'm just going to put it on screen now. Top of the list, a right wing back. Did we get one of those? No. Coburn or a physical centre forward? I know Coburn splits opinion. We're not here to talk about that. We got that in. Number 3, a midfield general, a leader, a driver. Did we get that? No.
Well, we got Luongo in. I don't think he quite ticks the 90 minutes box, does he?
No, exactly. And him 2 years ago, maybe, but not now. So I would argue we didn't get that. Sturridge or left back, yes. A centre back, more urgent if Tanganga goes. We got Taylor. Whether he's the replacement we need right now, I don't know. A goalkeeper on loan. Obviously, we've signed 3, so that's fantastic. A winger with pace, arguably 7/8 is about to come in the door, right? So, to me, and this was before.
Will you not put Doughty in that? Would you not put Doughty in that though? Winger with pace. Because don't forget, I think he was brought in as a winger, but he's filled that left back.
So you could say 7 and 8. 7 and 8. If Balo signs, you could say 7 and 8. But we've signed number 5, unproven. We haven't signed a number 3, and we've now got Billy and Casper out, and we didn't sign, in Jesper and I's opinion, number 1. Quite frankly, and again, that's just our opinion. But I just thought it'd be really interesting to revisit something that we did right at the start in a prioritized list. So Phil, going back to your point around there's only a certain amount of money and we have to prioritize it. Again, Jesper and I are not qualified, but that we didn't go after the 2 out of the top 3 that we deem to be priorities. I would love to get your opinions and the opinions of those in the chat.
Yeah, interesting one. The keeper, by the way. I mean, we signed. We needed 2 keepers. That's not a question. And we got Max. And obviously Bender came in. Great. 2 players to sort of compete for that spot, which is fine. I was really surprised by the Coleman signing. I don't know what anyone else thinks. I mean, ultimately we can sign a lone keeper on an emergency deal, but by signing him, he has to take up one of the squad places. I'm sort of thinking, even if he wasn't expensive and his wages aren't that high, I struggled to kind of get my head around why. I know it was quite exceptional last year that we did need 3 first-team keepers, but you didn't expect the Karate Kid to do what he did. So that was quite an unusual circumstance. When was the last time we've actually needed 3 potential first-team keepers?
I can't remember. We've always had an under 21 as a 3rd choice keeper, haven't we?
Pretty much, yeah. So just a really odd when it comes to squad planning again. I just sort of think really odd decision. I don't know. We could have got somebody on a loan if we needed to.
No, you're
But
right.
I guess it is because of last season, isn't it, Phil? Worst case scenario, and then suddenly we're down to bare bones, and Lucas is only back maybe in January, so I can only assume that's the case. And he's got a 1-year contract, so he'll be gone in the summer again next year. But yeah, it seems odd. It does.
So our under 21 goalkeeper currently, they want him playing more often. So he's not out on loan, is he? They don't want to send him out on loan. The new under 21 keeper, not George Evans.
What, Jacob, the Polish lad?
Jacob, that's the guy, yeah.
Jacob,
so I guess they're keeping him. They don't want him to go out on loan. So he's going to play on 21 football. Obviously, if George Evans moves on loan, has he gone on loan?
No, he hasn't. He was there on Saturday, but he wasn't. Interestingly, he wasn't out warming up against Coventry, or he wasn't out doing the warm up for Crocombe, which he normally would be. So I thought maybe he had already gone, but then he was there. I think the issue is, and this is another kind of aspect of it. Our recruitment team is quite small. I mean, it was only, I think, 4 people. A couple of people left. I don't know who they've hired now, but let's just say it's 4 people. There's a lot of work going on, and I think some of these things, like getting contract renewals done. I know, there was conversations around Billy Mitchell getting a new contract. The loan deals for people like George Evans. I think they'll probably all start to happen next week, because I think they just need their focus on the incomings, basically.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Somebody just made a good point on the keeper. Crocombe's going off to the Ashes, as it's been called, isn't he? He's going off to the New Zealand v Australia game. So maybe that's why whether we need to sign him for a season or not, I don't know, but still.
So we've got 11 minutes left. What's happening?
Well, one thing, I don't know if we touched on it. It looks like the fee for Big Kev to go to Aberdeen was 300k. I mean, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what the reporters are reporting.
Never going to be a lot more than that. He's out of contract at the end of the season.
And they want to cut his wage bill down, didn't they, Phil, as well?
Yeah, I'm led to believe we paid about 1.5, 1.7 when we signed him, because it came down a lot.
That was.
We probably should never have gone back after he didn't turn up the first time. We probably shouldn't have gone back. But, I think Gary Rowett was really keen on him, and, really, really did want him in the group.
Should have taken him worked out then.
Yeah, it just hasn't worked out. It happens, Conor Mahoney, probably similar, didn't happen.
Why do you think, Phil, why do you think that hasn't worked out? Is that a case of maybe Alex Neil, Philly can't get the best out of him, and that's as good as he's going to get? Or would you say it's probably more Nisbet wanting to move back up again and kind of pushed it?
No, I why hasn't it worked out? I don't think it's anything to do with now. I think it's to do with last season. I think whatever happened last season, whether it was coming to London and the bright lights and he just got distracted, I just think last season basically has led us to where we are today. I just, for whatever reason, he just, if you remember that pre-season, the away game at the Gillingham, photos went around, we looked really out of shape. We spoke to him at the awards night, didn't we? And we said to him, "What are you doing for the summer?" And when he told us, I just walked away thinking, this isn't going to end well.
Last season, pre-season, he made me look like Cristiano Ronaldo, didn't he? Like his gut was hanging out, went over his shorts.
Have you got a hunchback, Chris? I just need to check. You can only be Cristiano if you've got a hunchback.
No.
Yeah, when he told us about what he was going off to do for the summer and his holidays, I just walked away thinking, this is not going to end well. You've got players like Billy Mitchell that are kind of, having a 2-week holiday and then getting a personal trainer and really focused.
1-to-1 training.
Basically got 8 weeks partying, and you just sort of think, 6 weeks or whatever it is. And I don't know. I just think maybe mentality was all wrong. And obviously we had the situation at the end of the season where Harris kind of made comments about him and Obafemi. I think the
Obafemi went to Bochum, by the way, today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Another
anyway, and I think that the die was cast, and this season he's out of contract at the end of the season. There's no chance we were ever going to renew him. So it was a question. The only disappointment is that it was really obvious he was going to end up going all summer. It's just annoying that they've decided to do it with, a day or it's probably been going on for 3 or 4 days. The fact that it's been reported now is a bit irrelevant. I suspect it's been going on for a week or so. It's just frustrating that it didn't happen 5 weeks ago, because then the club would have had a clearer picture of what they wanted to do. But that's how the window works.
Chris, can you go back to that True Blue comment? That one there. Markham mentioned at all in this chat, should we be playing him on the right side as his right-footed move might solve an issue down the right side? You know, it's weird, like whether you agree with this or not, I think you've got to trust the player or go with the player. You try and mold players and play in certain positions. But I remember meeting him, Phil, it was not last year, the year before, the end of season awards. Remember when you took the piss out of me for
you cornered them all, didn't you?
And they're all there. Who was there? There was Roman SA. There was Mark.
Was this one where you were down on your knees talking to him?
Yes.
I think
yes,
you were
yes.
talking to him.
I was
anyway.
grooming them, weren't I? So I was grooming them. There's Brooke Norton Cuffy as well, and we're all sat there
He's
chatting
gone.
away.
Romain's gone.
I know. See, this is the last one. I'll get rid of him soon. No, but Marcus said to me there and then he wants to play left wing, and I said to him, I think you'd be great as a striker, your pace, you know, direct. He's like, no, I don't want to play my back to goal. I want to play on the left wing. I don't want to play on the right. And he's very adamant that's where he wants to play, you know. And sometimes I guess it's very hard to make a player change position. You know, I'm sure he'll help out and play right wing if he has to, but he was so focused. That's where I want to play. That's where I want to stay. So, to your point there, True Blue, I'm guessing, that's where he feels most comfortable. And as much as they try to help him or try and mold him in different positions, it's just not happening, is it? You know.
But no, what I would say to that, sorry, Chris, what I would say is what we've seen in the last couple of games is that his delivery from set pieces is actually not half.
Oh, brilliant!
It's been decent, but it's when it comes onto his left foot, it seems like a hit and hope sort of thing. You know, I just have to get rid of the ball, and the ball ends up in the top tier, or it ends up.
I don't know. Weren't the two shots that he had where he cut in on his right foot and he put them up in Rosette? They were on his right foot.
Yeah, it was on his right foot.
I thought it was just his left foot, Jesper, but it's his right foot as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I would say is he could probably also do more damage on the right side. Just nick the ball past the player. Keep it simple,
again,
and then get some crosses in.
But that's the thing, though, Jesper. He's crossing. Yeah, he's not the best while the ball's in open play. He's great at set pieces, corners, or whatever, free kicks. We've seen him deliver some good free kicks as well. But when the ball's at his feet and he's running, dribbling past players, he doesn't seem to be able to get these crosses in, does he?
No, I still reckon that it will be better on his right foot than it will be on his left foot.
But I think part of the problem is the model, the way the system is set up is for the person on the right hand side to tuck right in and allow. So if you did play him out there, then
to have a right back that overlaps.
Yeah, well, I guess you're gonna be looking probably for a slightly different player than.
Well, I think they're both. Unless Aziz is playing there, like the last couple of games, we've had two inverted wingers, haven't we, with Marku and Negley. So we're kind of reliant on our fullbacks to give us the width and overlap.
The fullbacks in an Alex Neil system are so crucial. It's unbelievable. Yeah, gents, I just want to, just the one thing. It's 5 to 7. So I swear I have no knowledge. Surely 7 o'clock, first announcement of a player. Surely that's going to happen, right? So we'll stick around till 7.
They're going to wait till 7 p.m. before they announce it. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean,
it is. I can feel it. I can feel little twinges down below at the moment. Honestly, I'm excited at the moment. I don't know if that's Phil under my desk, but it's definitely happening. I can feel something, honestly.
Yeah, I'm convinced. There's 2. I am convinced. One we probably
just a question for you guys. If we had Pep Guardiola as a manager, you reckon we'd play Idemo as a right back simply because of the speed and energy he would bring, going forward?
That's a
great I don't know. I'd swap Alex Neil for Pep. With Pep's current form, we've got Big Alex. We don't need Pep.
I wonder if Pep could get a tune out of our boys. Is he that good? If he took over, I reckon Mourinho can. Because I think
he mentioned us in a program, didn't he? He lives in the Canary Wharf, doesn't he? He said he'd rather go coach a low league team in the Premier League because they don't play in Europe. He doesn't want to play in UEFA anymore. So he said, if a lower team came in from the Premier League, call me, or maybe the Championship. Who knows?
Well, he's just got a lovely payout, didn't he? A lovely payout from his departure from Turkey. I'm sure he's not too desperate to get into another club. I think I read he's earned something stupid like 30 million from payouts from when he's been sacked. So I think he's.
Let's see if he gets the money.
We wanted far away from where we are, didn't we? That one in here.
Yeah, indeed.
He'll bankrupt us, won't he?
Completely.
Well,
right.
If he wants to be...
Phil, can we make up some rumours, Phil?
Make up some rumours.
Make up something. I tell you what. Give us three. Give us 3 things. Yeah, 1's truth and 2's a lie that you've heard.
Oh, okay.
Don't say what's what. Go on.
No.
Don't say what's
harsh.
what. There's three
Right,
things.
okay.
There's three things, but one's real, two are not. Or should we
One's
say one
real.
and one? Make it easier. Let's go two.
Okay.
A truth and a lie.
Alan Brown, Will Smallbone.
Well, Alan Brown signed for Middlesbrough.
Oh, he's gone, has he?
Yeah.
So is that why we signed Will Smallbone?
No, not at all. I'm just throwing names out there. I've got absolutely no idea.
I thought the game we were playing was, you know, a bit of truth that you kind of keeping under your
No,
sleeve.
mate. There's no chance of knowing anything at the moment. Everything's on lockdown. It's just difficult because so much is happening all the time. You know, I mean, I think, we obviously thought this Arabi deal was going to happen, and that's fallen through. I think the Balo deal is going to happen. So I think that's, I'd be very, very surprised if that doesn't happen. So I'm quietly confident that at least one is going to be through the door, and I guess they're just working on somebody else to see whether they can make it happen.
Interesting one there, Chris, from Connor. Bamford's been released by Leeds. Would you take him? I know he's quite injury prone, but if he's a squad player, you've proven at championship level when he's fit.
What would you want to
big money, isn't he?
Yeah, he'd be on big money, but he's
stupid money.
He's on nothing at the moment.
I don't know if he looks at it like that, but
to be fair, he doesn't want to move from Yorkshire because his kids are at school there. I think he mentioned that already, didn't he? He didn't want to move down south or anything like that as well. So,
well, it's lucky because we're not signing his wife, are we?
No, I know. What about Balassa? Balassa? I haven't heard particularly great things about him, and I think you picked on something, didn't you, Phil? When we played Borough the other week, didn't he give a bit to the Millwall fans as well, didn't he?
Which one was that?
Ballester, the Middlesbrough midfielder.
Oh, Basler.
Yeah,
I put that. Yeah, I retweeted something that somebody had put up. Yeah, they're not making great comments about him, are they? The
Borough fans.
Fans. Yeah, which I don't know. It's not never
when they start saying things like "I'll drive him there free of charge," that's sort of thing we would say when we try to get rid of somebody. I remember saying the same thing about Vadstammer when he was rumored to be going. So that's not nice to hear. That's what you hear. Or Gary Taylor Fletcher, exactly.
I mean, I asked a couple of people, about him, and they kind of. I'm just trying to find. Let me have a look for my my notes. So
7 o'clock, chaps.
So what I was told was he's a decent footballer, good at set pieces, not massively dynamic,
and very inconsistent as well.
Yeah, I mean, those three things are what I was told. I mean, it's just difficult because in that centre midfield, I think we just do need a lot of energy. You need genuine athleticism. You do need like that Malumbi person who's going to charge around everywhere, Billy Mitchell to some
Interesting
degree.
you say that, Phil, because it's a very good point you're making there, but I think that applies if you're playing a 4-4-2 formation. You do ask a lot of your two central midfielders to cover a lot of the ground. But when you're playing the 4-2-3-1 and you're essentially playing a third midfielder in there sometimes, does it matter as much? Or do you feel a bit more technically gifted that can be more creative, maybe?
I just think all around the pitch we lack athleticism and pace. So I think I'm just always looking for somebody who's got it, whatever position. We're just quite one-paced a lot of the time. Two big lads up front are very similar paced. Just Negley doesn't look particularly quick. Luongo's definitely not quick. I will be honest, I've not been a fan of Kundal since we signed him, but this season he's definitely stepped it up. I've been a lot more impressed with him. Yeah, look, I'm not quite sure that he's great off the ball, but I thought he was really tidy and picked up some good positions in the games that I've seen him. So I am impressed with him, but I'm just not sure you can play him in a too long term with Luongo. I know other people have said, we bossed the midfield on Saturday. I just didn't really see it like that, if I'm honest. I thought O'Brien was probably one of the, possibly man of the match, and he's exactly the type of midfielder I would have loved us to have picked up, to be honest.
I reckon, guys, there's something happening at the moment. There's
you feel it in your water.
Well, it's got to be.
Chris, did you discuss the new guy, Sacco?
We haven't discussed Sacco. I'm just wondering what to do because I would like to stay on all night, but I think Mrs. Chaps will divorce me if I do. So I'm just trying to work out.
I have to shoot off. I've got
how long to keep this going for.
So I'm hoping there'll be something on here before I go because I really need to get ready to go football. Yeah.
When are you off, Joe?
Well, I'm supposed to be leaving at 7:00. But I'm just waiting for something before I leave. Hopefully, I'm hoping we'll hear something. But I've probably got a few more minutes I can manage before I go.
I just can't imagine anything's going. If it's not announced before 7, I think you've got somebody put in one of the chats that they've got a couple of hours to put the paperwork through.
That's fine. That's all formalities, isn't it? As long as we just get some kind of confirmation there's something going on. Okay, so Sky are reporting that Balo deal was done.
The Balo deal was done, aren't they?
Fantastic.
As a loan, Joe, or
let me ask my Sky.
Yeah, it's a loan. It's a loan with an option.
Second. Let me find out. Is it?
Yeah, loan with an option.
Option or obligation?
I don't know whether we've got an option or an obligation or a commitment, but it's a loan to perm.
It's a loan.
Well, he's completed his medical. That's just been announced. So that's the news that we have.
Good.
That he's completed his medical.
So when you got him, you got the Peck and Pogba. Who else we signed?
Well, you got Taylor.
Taylor. That's 3.
But seen as a replacement for Tanganga. So yeah, that's 3.
Okay, that's still decent. You know.
Well, if he's confirmed, that's our 8th That's our 8th signing of the summer. We signed 7 in January and 10 last summer.
Wow.
And I suspect there may be one more coming in today. So
okay. So we haven't signed that central midfielder yet, have we? Which is what we're thinking.
That's what I think we're going to be going for.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there will be a statement signing? Like if we take Balo out of the equation, you reckon there will be another statement? No.
Disco.
I think unlikely. You never know. The centre midfielder might be that, but I'm not sure.
Well, I think with a statement,
I think if people are looking,
how do you do that?
Yeah, I just don't think you're doing it this late in the window.
Yeah.
Well, we did in January, didn't we, with Negley, and we did it with Ivanovic last summer.
I don't know if they were statement signings though, because they're not. It depends what you call a statement, Jesper. A statement signing.
I would mean someone we bring in. Let's say we bring in for like 2, 3, 4 million quid.
Yeah, but that seems to be a
regardless
at the moment. We're breaking a record all the time. I mean, a statement signing for me is one where everyone goes, "Oh, I know that name. Wow, what a player!" That for me is a statement signing. Like signing Tanganga permanently, having had him on loan, that was a statement signing. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think people that are kind of looking back to Mark's video and making people sit up and take notice. I'm not sure they're going to get a signing.
I wonder.
10 minutes.
I wonder if we're going to give the youngsters a bit of a chance. It sees the likes of, Howland may play a bit more. Lamptey maybe in midfield. You know, we need big Kelly again. I mean, I quite like Kelly when he came on against against Coventry. I thought he'd done really, really well. And even did he come against Sheffield United as well? I'm pretty sure he looked pretty okay when he came on there as well. So, yeah. Alex S. It's all a bit underwhelming.
It is. It is a little bit underwhelming. I think. Bailey, he's not wrong. Someone do a conversation all the time. Chris is taking it angry. Yeah, I'm not. And
normally it's after I speak.
Well, no. Do you know what it is? Is everyone who knows that watches this knows that I'm usually fairly balanced, but I have to be honest. I'm really disappointed, and that's just where I'm at. And I have to be true to myself. And if I've genuinely believed that, then I'll say it. But
speak your truth, Chris. Speak your truth.
Speak your truth, exactly. But good spot, Bailey. Good spot. I should never play poker. That's for sure. I can't hide my.
Certainly not against Angelo.
I've heard that's easily won.
Oh, he's quality.
I think it is easy to be disappointed because you kind of we're all. I don't quite know why. I didn't actually watch that Mark Fairbrother interview when it came out. I only picked up on it the other week when it kind of started floating around. I'm not quite sure what got our expectations up. I think this is one of the problems that we've. I talked about at the fans forum. You were there, Chris. We have been signing a lot of players. I mean, if you 10 summer last year, 7 in the winter, 8 so far this window. If you go back to most of the windows under Alex Aldridge, I suspect we weren't signing that many that often, mainly because he just never had anywhere near the budget that's been going around now. But so many of the players are kind of project players, but people have kind of, this time last year, Dan Kelly was here, and after about 5 games, you were getting people on social media, oh, you got to play Dan Kelly. He's the answer. Like, nobody had ever heard of him 3 weeks before. I think there is a modern football thing where everybody wants new players. It's all shiny. It's all new. We've got to have, something's not working. So the person who's not in the team is the answer. It's a difficult one. I don't know where the expectations have come from. I know Alex Neil sort of talked about it a little bit, maybe, but we've signed 8 players.
I think, you know what, if there's no more signings coming through, I don't think it's for the want of not trying. I think they had every intention of bringing a few more players in today. Maybe they've just landed one, but not the other 1 or 2. Who knows, But it'd be interesting to know whether our deal's done. This is what you need Richard Cowley, don't you, on X, saying, that's it, folks, you go to bed now,
Well, we've not had that from anyone, Joe, right? So I think there's
no.
Look, I'm convinced there's going to be 2, right? But I guess what my point is that we already know what one of them is, pretty much. And then the second one, I doubt is going to be a statement signing because of, as Phil's point, it's, so late in the window. And I think that for me, that's why I'm disappointed. But what I would say, I'm going to offer some optimism here, right? I'm going to offer some optimism. I would imagine this means that Mihailo is staying, which
that's true. That's
is positive, right? Because there were certainly times where we questioned that. So look, let's say that. And I love Dan's point here. We've come a long way since Hulse and Nathan Tyson. So let's be positive. I'd love to have a bit of what you're drinking, Dan, mate. I really would.
Lots to be optimistic for. Hopefully Zach Lovelace will be back inside 2 or 3 weeks, and I think there's really high prospects for him, what he could do for us. Once you get Alfie Doughty back, Billy and Casper, Femi Aziz, even Langstaff, if he kind of scores like he did at Sutton and was it the Borough game? There's
is he not out for some time, Phil? Do you know how? Do you know?
Langstaff? I haven't heard. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, that could be a show on its own. The whole communication around injuries and stuff is just really bizarre nowadays, but still.
And also Casper De Norre still here. I know people were rumoured about him leaving and Fulham coming in for him and all that crap. That hasn't happened. Mihailo, myself included, I think a lot of fans were saying, hey, he didn't try hard enough against Wrexham, and maybe he had one eye or his head was turned about a potential move. He's a young lad, Mihailo, 20 years of age, isn't he? I think now this is done, it's probably the best thing for us and for him, where he can now concentrate on his football career at Millwall. Doesn't mean to say this ain't going to happen again in January when the next transfer window comes, but for the next 5-6 months, you like to think he's going to work hard and get his head down and show us what he's capable of doing. So for me, it's like we signed another striker here, because we're going to get Mihailo back on 100% focus and hopefully scoring goals for us, which we desperately need, don't we?
Yeah, I'd agree. The window shutting will have, I think Alex Neil alluded to one of the interviews that he said maybe it's been a bit of a distraction for some of the players, and I guess Mihailo must be one of those. And if a move doesn't happen, then hopefully he'll get his head down, start. He's just snatching at stuff at the moment. He's almost trying too hard. You know what I mean? You can say he didn't want to miss the header or any chances. He's just kind of snatching at stuff, and hopefully that settles down. He starts banging the goals in, and the honest truth is, if he keeps scoring goals, he's going to get a move, because we're just not going to be in a position to stop that happening.
Of course not. No, of course not. Exactly. Guys, I'm going to have to love you and leave you, so I'll leave you to it. I think you're going to be here till 9 o'clock, are you? To keep it going?
No? I don't quite think we'll be here that late, but we'll carry on for a little bit longer until I get the call from Mrs. Chaps. But Joe, thanks for coming, and don't miss too many chances.
Yeah.
No, I'll try not to. I'll try not to. But look, there's definitely more
don't
to
pull
come
anything.
I will try not to. There is one more coming in, though. I reckon there's one more coming in, because I haven't been told it's not. And I'm confident there's one more that's going to come off. So fingers crossed, yeah?
Joe, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you
wait until he walks off to say he suddenly knows something.
Oh, and now he's claiming his mic's not working. Oh, here we go. You've muted yourself, mate. There you go. I'll unmute you. Oh, it won't let me.
And then
Oh, he's gone. Oh,
Jesus.
there you go. There you go. That's a mic drop moment, isn't it?
What did we think of Ryan Longman on Saturday, by the way? I mean, obviously he was a player at the time. We kind of thought would have been nice to have had, and could have been a good squad player. But I mean, what did we think of him?
I didn't notice him too much, to be honest. I think at the time when we wanted him, I think he would have fitted in perfectly in terms of how we played. I think then when we changed manager all of a sudden, I think maybe we moved on from him. He could be a good squad player. I don't know how much quality he would bring compared to the players we have now. So, but I liked him when he was here. He was a grafter. He was hardworking, and he had a fairly good shot from distance as well. Fairly decent player.
I agree. I think that at the time, the system we played, I think that was probably where he was, but we don't really play that system anymore. And I think that he didn't stand out for me on Saturday, put it that way. I think there were players that did. I think Doyle looked very good for them. I think we touched on O'Brien, sorry. And I think that Kiefer Moore always stands out against us, doesn't he? So, but yeah, be interesting to...
The fact he didn't stand out probably tells us what we need to know, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Indeed. Someone just said that we've announced Balo, but we haven't. So I'm not sure.
Maybe we've announced it.
We haven't. Well, I can't see it unless...
I mean, as in we, you and I, as opposed to the club.
Oh.
I mean, he's passed the medical ahead of a move. So, I mean, I think it's, everybody's reporting that. So I think it's fairly safe to say, unless Genk come in at the last minute, we're probably home and hosed for that one.
Yeah, a lot of people saying it's been out. Where's it been announced? Because it's not on the site, and Mill haven't tweeted it. Is it on Sky?
What, the medical?
No, there's just
nothing
a few people
on social media
in the comments saying that he's been announced, but
I think they probably just mean they're taking the medical, I guess. But anyway, I'm still hopeful there'll be one more, and it'll be a centre midfielder, probably on loan. That's my guess. That's what I'm thinking.
Agreed.
Will Scott's announced Balo's completed his medical, which means probably Dan did it 5 minutes earlier. So I'm guessing that probably is as good as done.
No, Will got that one, mate.
Got there first.
So we're not bringing in any, additional striker now that we lost Arabi. Probably didn't have time to.
Lions TV announced it. Okay.
Oh, there you go. That's there you go. Yeah, along with Seymour Butts and Amanda Hugginkiss.
Yeah, Phil. You're getting a few bites there, mate. One more signing on top of Balo, I think, is what we as a club are aiming for. Interesting that Charlton are looking to sign James Bree and Datro Fofana. I mean, that's not bad business, is it?
No, probably not
bad business at all. We never give Mayor a chance. Maybe
everybody looks at teams like Charlton, and they are doing a lot of business. But let's be honest, they had to do a lot of business.
Yeah, but I would imagine they probably end up spending more than we do, which I think is.
They may well do, and we've had quite some really good income. But I guess we've also have spent a lot over the last couple of windows, overall. So it's a really difficult one to balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
We all want them to spend more money.
Sorry, someone just posted there. I hope it's not Barlas. If we bring Barlas in on loan, isn't that just another Ryan Windsor case like last season? I mean, it seems to me to make up the numbers. Really,
does it really up and take notice signing? Is it?
No, is it? No.
But then we I think we've grounded on that isn't going to happen. I mean, one player that seemed to have been available, and or maybe not, because it doesn't look like he's going to end up anywhere, was Rom. Looked like he could possibly go on loan, but it doesn't look like he's gone anywhere. Which
does the loan window close today as well?
I think it does. I think it does.
I don't know.
And you can still sign free transfers as well, I think, after tonight.
Yeah, there was a rumor around Nathan Redmond, wasn't? I'm not saying that
Yeah.
I would entertain it, but I'm just saying that there was a rumor around Nathan Redmond potentially being looked at by a number of clubs, including us. So it'd be interesting. What I would say is Derby haven't announced Balo, and they were the other club interested in him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. EFL loan window closes today.
Okay.
Charlton looked poor against QPR on Saturday. They did. I've got one of my good friends is a QPR season ticket holder, and he said that Charlton looked really poor. But you know, we have to turn up and fight for sure. That's one thing that, as you said earlier, Phil, they are very aggressive in the way that they play.
Yeah, and you can understand that under Nathan Jones. He'll wind them up, and yeah. Anyway, we should have the quality to outperform them results-wise. But then, we thought that against Wrexham, and to be honest, Wrexham again, a bit like the Middlesbrough game, first 15, 20 minutes, played quite nicely, created some really good opportunities. But if we didn't take them, we just seemed to fall into the same trap of just not being able to shift the momentum of the game once it's drifted away from us. And I suppose that comes down to, to the choices of subs, doesn't it, really? Or not choices, but the options.
The options available, yeah. Lee, I think, look, that would be a stand-up signing, but I don't actually know why he's not signed anyone, because he left Burnley and it looked like he was going to sign for a Premier League club, and he's still not got a club. It's a very, very...
Is he out of contract?
Yeah.
So he can sign after the window shuts. So, I mean, which actually puts him in a really strong position. Because if he's that highly rated and there's not many options, then he's going to have probably some very interesting options and be able to dictate his fee, his wage a little bit more, maybe.
Indeed.
I think Saudi was mentioned, wasn't it, as well? He could go there. I think I saw somewhere.
Brano wants 100. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Gents, so in terms of what I'm thinking, is to stay till 7:30.
Okay.
And then to come back a little bit later. And if anyone's available to do that, if not, I'll obviously gladly come back on my Todd. I need to go and have my dinner with Mrs. Chap for a bit. I did expect, if
not
I'm
with
honest,
Mrs. Chaps.
I mean, yeah, feel free to take her out for dinner, mate. She's an expensive date. She's gonna give me a slap when I eventually go downstairs. But yeah, there's nothing to talk about really. So I'm hoping we'll get a little bit,
all the other channels doing one of these live shows as well, because there's going to be a lot of people listening to a lot of nothing, isn't there?
I don't know. I know Lions TV did one from 1 o'clock, but I don't know if Dan's still going or not. I don't know. In all honesty, should we have gone harder for Dyke still, Alex? I don't think so, mate. I think he was. I mean, I don't think anyone in the Championship really wanted him, so I don't think so. I think he's maybe a year or two ago, but maybe not anymore. So he's stopped now. As soon as you log off, we'll sign someone. You know that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, that is exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, it's typical, absolutely typical. I did expect a little bit more activity. Let's see if we can find a few bits out on when information is going to be released. But yeah, Jeff makes a good point here. So it sounds like a broken record. Progress costs money. We never invest enough to get where we want to be. 60 years of watching Mill, it's always been the same. I think it's a good point. It's just so difficult to balance that with the amount of money that our wonderful owners have put in, right? It's such a tricky one. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
What, in terms of Jeff's point?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you need an amazing academy, and there's huge upfront cost to that. But once you get the academy piece right, then progress kind of costs a little bit less money. But at the moment, this is the problem. So a Saville leaves, but to upgrade Saville, despite being whatever he was, 31, 32, is probably a £3 or £4 million signing. The upgrade of Saville is probably Malumbi, and okay, taking aside the fact that he probably wasn't available, but how much would a Malumbi cost? How much did Ben Sheaf cost?
Yeah, I think Malumbi's probably not as much as Ben Sheaf, but he's
It's
multiple
2,
million,
3.
isn't he?
Yeah, it's 2,
Yeah.
3, maybe 4 million quid. So you do that in one position, then you're looking at doing that in the right back position. You know, it's just you can burn through a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah. No, agreed. You
And there's
certainly
not
can.
a lot of resale value on some of those players, which is whether we like it or not, that is the model.
Mm.
You know, there's very few players we've signed that, you know, don't have a prospect of, you know, the resale aspect to it.
True. And also the case, it could be that they become very good players for us, but maybe other teams are not that interested in them. So, but you're building a team that can play together for quite many years. I took notes of Coventry squad when they played, I think it was QPR. I think all of the players were between like 24 and 27. I mean, they could play the same squad now for the next 3 or 4 seasons without any problems. And
I
because
think the
they've
problem
done
for
good
us
plan-
with that, Jesper,
And yet their
is that-
manager still moans.
yeah,
he does, yeah.
exactly.
Problem with
Honestly.
that is that we just don't look like at the moment a club that's going to keep players that long.
No,
I
that's
think
true. But maybe
Probably
one of the
frustrating some of the fans a
But
bit.
one of the things they might try to do is bring in younger players, and we might see the fruition coming through, as you said, like in the next 2 or 3 seasons, but not this season.
Yeah.
There is a long-term project, I think, that might, start 3-4 seasons, where you might see some of the very young players coming through, etc. But you also have to balance it with having a squad that's competitive in the championship and who wants to compete for the top 6. And that's really difficult, because if it was easy, a lot of clubs would do it, and but again, I have to say that, having supported this club for 25 years, we're doing something different. It's bold. Yeah, it can be, it can be nervy, but, as Mark Fairbrother said, if you keep doing the same things, you get the same results. So maybe we finish 15th this season, but who knows? We could be much better off than next season. So let's see, and they might take notice as well and see, like, okay, we need to do something differently than compared to last year and the year before. So you sort of adapt as they go on, because as you mentioned, Phil, it is quite radical to sign almost 30 players in 3 windows, and you don't want to keep doing that as well, because it upsets the rhythm in the squad, etc. So yeah, things are happening very quickly now in terms of change, on and off the pitch.
I
Yeah.
also think that every player always talks about how great the dressing room is, right? And I think you need to have a blend of continuity in that to maintain it. If you bring a whole heap of new players in, you've got to keep that. And I think in a minute we're probably still okay, because I think, Coops and Lenny are probably driving that standard, and the likes of Billy and Casper, etc. But I think we just need to be mindful of that as well, in terms of when we're having this constant change of players. That's the first point. And the second one I'll make is, when you have teams like, I'm just going to pluck one, Swansea, spending 7 million plus 2 million in add-ons for a striker, and then signing Benson, which probably was an expensive loan fee and probably 25-30 grand a week, that's when it becomes really difficult to progress it as a club without heavy investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean investment above and beyond the amount of money that the Berylsons continuously pummel in. And that's something for me. I think that's kind of probably what Jeff was touching on there. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that whole dynamic of the fees, it's just, you haven't really touched on the wage bill. Let me just have a look. I've got some of the figures from when I've looked at the wages before. So if you start, this is the total wage cost, which is how it's reported in the accounts. So this includes the non-footballing staff. So if you go back to 2018, so what's that, 7 years ago? Our wage bill was 13 million, and the last account is 25, and that's before there's another set of accounts to come out, and before we're even where we are now. So I mean, I think that the total staff cost could easily be 27 to 28 million. Which is, when you take where it was in 2017, 2018, it's 2 or 3 times the size. And the problem with that is that's not just 1 year; that's like a 3-year cycle, isn't it?
What's that in relation, though, to I guess the division in relation to the commercial revenues that we brought. I'm just to give it a bit.
Commercial incomes was 3 million last year. Central League Award, which is all TV money, was 11 million. Matchday income was 7.5. So our total income was 21 million, and our staff cost was 25.5.
Is that including TV money or?
What, the income? Yeah, that's everything. Yeah, that's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I think 25 to 30 million wages, total staff costs, which is how all clubs report it, is probably somewhere for probably 15th down, I would have thought. You know, it definitely isn't. We're definitely not in the bottom 3 or 4 anymore.
No.
Whether we're getting value for that and stuff, I don't know. I mean, that's a different conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to understand where we are now in terms of expenditure, because obviously this year is, I think, unprecedented. It's fair to say, in terms of championship spending and things like that. So it'd be really interesting to see that. Okay, 2 minutes to 7:30. I'm hoping, praying for something at 7:30. If not, gents, I think we'll. If everyone's all right with that, we'll drop off and we'll come back in 30 minutes or so once we've replenished the supplies.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. I hope there is some news for those that do come back to cheer. But for the time being, I think we are probably just looking at Balo as our signing currently, which is going to be, I think social media over the next 40 hours is going to be pretty interesting. I'd suggest if you're Steve Gallen or Mark Fairbrother, probably turn your social media channels off. That's not from me. I'm just looking at what other people are writing. I just think probably best to stay away from it.
Yeah.
But just quickly, what do you make of the signing we've made from France, this Sacco guy? What do you think? Do you think he is a long-term project, or do you think he will?
Balo?
No, the other one, Sacco.
Oh, Derek.
Derek, yeah.
My understanding of people I've spoke to, he's probably like a 3 to 6 month project. You know, I think they really like him. I think he's got a lot of potential, but he's kind of not a walk straight through the door and demand a first team place. I mean, it may well prove to be the case, but I think the plan is that it's kind of somebody who builds up over the season. But that's the problem. So many of our signings are in that category, aren't they?
True. But as you said, we don't have endless money as well. So it might be like, where can we, do a bit of a bargain deal? And that's what we have to maybe accept sometimes, that we can't just go out and buy Ben Chief for 6.5. And then we have to take a gamble on this guy. He has played a lot of senior football, to be fair. And he will be 21 in November, I think. So he's not a kid as such.
It's hard to judge, isn't it, Jesper? Because you look at you made a good point about Kramer. Nobody expected Kramer to come in, and he probably didn't expect to get a chance in the first team so quickly. But when he got it, he took it. Obviously Mahalo's very similar. There was all the talk when he joined that he had injuries and all this kind of stuff. But he grabbed his opportunity. I mean, that's what it is. These players, some of them are going to get an opportunity they probably didn't expect, and it's down to them to make something of it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put him in the same category as Massey, Kelly, and AJ, because he is older. He has played a lot of senior football. He's been in the youth teams of France. And France, let's be fair, France and Holland in general, they do produce good technical players. The question is, of course, the physicality of the league and the tempo, to adjust to that as well. That will be, I think, his biggest challenge, because I genuinely believe he's a good footballer, and I think we will see that. But whether he can cope with the other aspects, that will be his biggest challenge, I think, playing in the center of the park as well.
Yeah,
indeed. The language, obviously, as well. I don't know if you mentioned.
Yeah. I don't think have we ever had players who didn't speak English? I mean, maybe the Russians or.
It wasn't Hammer. Was he? I can't remember. We've had obviously the Russians. We've had loads that don't. Yeah, okay. I mean, even Nisbet didn't speak English.
Right, on that note, chaps, we are going to call it there. We will be back. So thank you, Steve. Thanks for the kind words. Much appreciated. We will be back because we are all convinced that we will have, at the very, very least, one sign-in. I believe there'll be two. So we'll be back. Don't know who will be back to join me, but we'll try and work something out, and we'll put it out on socials probably in around 30 minutes or so, maybe seeing the last hour, because deals can still be done, and I'm sure that is exactly what the club are doing. Thank you so much for sticking with us, guys. I know it's been a couple of hours of where we've filled time, but hopefully it kept you entertained on a Monday night, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.